Reveille.
Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Start for Mortal Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
Power to us, doing what we love. It's time to bang. Hey, Aaron, go bra. Hey, lose the bra, actually. Hey, it's Morning Kombat. It's St. Patrick's Day, Monday, March 17th, 2025. You stumbled into the greatest combat sports show they ever thought about putting together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's get down with that, right? Hey, Brian Campbell, that BBC with that BDE, but my co-host from Washington, D.C. is also hair. It's Luke Thomas.
What's up, bro? What's up?
What's up, bro? Hey,
By the way, the Irish get quite bitter. They don't like it when you say St. Patty's Day.
do they like it when Conor McGregor goes to the White House on St. Patty's Day? And yeah,
What they apparently prefer is it's either Patty's Day or St. Patrick's Day, but you can't call it St. Patty's Day. And I'm here to tell the Irish, we're probably just going to call it St. Patty's Day. I'm sorry to tell you
You're
that.
like, and anyone else, suck on my pelotas.
Pelotas.
That is a Luke Thomas original right there. Hey, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're fired up. Hope you enjoyed another Apex card over the weekend. We're going to break that down. Is Roman Dolidze a legitimate middleweight title contender? We're going to get into that as well. Also, we'll look at the biggest headlines in combat sports. Did you see Callum Walsh at the Garden last night at that St. Patty's?
Beating up them Lyft drivers, huh?
Yeah, first round KO, nice combo. But they got to match him now. They got to put him in against somebody.
Yeah, now
with
it's
a
time.
pulse.
I saw Dan Condobio saying they should get Xander Zayas to fight him, which would be kind of sick.
That would be sick. So there was a lot of fights over the weekend. We'll look at the biggest stuff. Also, we'll answer your questions with DMs from Donks. And then I got a batch of shit today that I think people are going to be talking about.
Now, do you have people dying or eating feces or some other thing that's going to get us hemmed up by
I don't think so, but I think it's a nice batch of shiat, if you know what I'm getting at. You can follow us at the socials below. Also, if you're free-loading, how about a like or a subscribe or both right now? It really helps the show push forward. We've been stuck on the same subscriber count for probably 6 years now, it seems like.
It is a vexing issue, but they can help us now.
They can help us. You can follow our YouTube channels as well. And, of course, we do have a third member of our team. You won't see him today, but you can hear him. And, of course, you probably saw him taking bong rips on his Main Card Minute podcast over the weekend. He's the son of an Australian. His name, Long Island Luke Nocita.
What's up, boys? Great fights this weekend, surprisingly.
Great?
Yeah, great's a strong word, but definitely good.
Dude, 4 bonuses in the first 5 fights of the night. Never seen
Dude,
that
back-to-back
happen. That's a lot.
chick first-round KOs.
I will say that to me the big revelation was that you finally had some women's fights that were really great. Those were really great.
And look, say what you will about the main event. That was fun and action, I thought. It was kind of...
I think of all the charm on the card, I would not say the main event was the charming
Long
parts.
Island, did you enjoy that?
I'd call it a technical thriller.
Okay. All right, there we go.
I can't tell if that's an insult anymore.
It is an insult. Thank you very much. All right, there you go. So that's the shit you got coming to you today. I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're doing well, as I said. Luke, anything you want to bring up? Anything you want to talk about?
I had teased that I had an announcement, which I do, but it's only going to be released after the show. Let's focus on MK. Let's get the MK in the bag. And then on my train ride home, I'm going to share the details. How about that?
I can't wait to hear. Does this have anything to do with a diagnosis medically?
I have AIDS. No.
Really getting the siren and the horns for that one? Wow.
No. Everything's fine. It's good news. It has nothing to do with anything.
Good news
bad,
coming today after MK, if you're a big Luke Thomas fan. And
yes.
Why wouldn't you be out there?
Well, there's plenty who aren't. Let's put it that way.
I wanted to shout out MK listener Corey Marlin. I know you're going through a lot right now physically. You got some surgeries in front of you and coming up. Keep fighting, brother. I mean, that's all you can tell people. Keep fighting, all right? The good times are coming, okay?
Keep swinging the axe.
Keep swinging that axe, okay? Keep swinging that. All right. Sorry.
All right, let's just turn tragedy to sexual jokes. How about that?
There we go. That's it. I guess that's the MK way right there.
That certainly is, yes.
I guess, unless you want to filibust at all, we can probably start the show early, right? I mean, this is great.
Well, let me just turn the tables very quickly. Do you have anything to say?
No. I'll be on the call, though, Saturday night, Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay, for PBC on Prime.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Amazon Prime Video, by the way, Sebastian Fundora in the main event. So check out that triple header. Also Friday, because I got a flight, the times are tough. We got to go early. We got to go 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday for MK.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So programming note, this Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, your Friday MK episode. Don't miss it. Thank you very much.
And there's also UFC on Saturday. That'll be great.
And also, this fantastic episode of Morning Combat, oh, by the way, presented to you by our friends at DraftKings. And as you already know, with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube, listening in their ear holes, or watching on the DraftKings network. We appreciate you.
Oh, very quickly. Last thing. Bong Island Luke, give the fans a betting update. How did you make out this past weekend?
Actually, had a great weekend. I went 5 of 6 on the main card.
Ooh.
Only fight I got wrong, I had Elizu Zaleski dos Santos versus Chitty Bang, but Roman cashed as a dog, had 2 parlays.
I forgot who it was. It's the guy who, forgive me, I forget his name. He does the podcast with Hanato Moicano and Gilbert Burns.
Matty Betts.
Did you see his bet that he made?
No.
I know he does like long shot parlays, and it did hit this
he
week.
did a long shot parlay. It was, I think he wagered like 4,400. He did a parlay on the Zaleski fight ending a certain way. There were just 3 stoppages or whatever it was. No. Main event and then 2 other stoppages. One by submission, one by TKO, and then the main event. He made $100,000 off of 4,400 based on the parlay.
That's dope. Good.
That's pretty sick.
Damn.
That's pretty sick.
Wow.
I know. And now when I see him, I'm just going to rob him at gunpoint.
There you
So
go.
that's what I'm
There,
going to do.
that's
That's
how
my
we do it.
retirement plan. Just rob people.
It works. Hey, let's start the show, though, okay, with topic number 1. There you go. Hey, it was a UFC Fight Night Apex show for you. Middleweight division, of course, in the main event. Probably the best fight of the card in terms of rankings and actual stakes when we look at a rematch 2 years and 4 days, by the way, after the fact of Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. The first time around, Vettori scored a close but disputed unanimous decision over 3 rounds. But in this rematch, which was all action and was exciting down the stretch in these so-called championship rounds, it goes the way of Roman Dolidze gaining revenge and catapulting forward when you consider the names that he called out. So Roman gets the best of the rematch. Was this a case, though, Luke Thomas, of Dolidze showing improvement from that first fight? Remember, he lost the subsequent fight after that, won 2 in a row. Now that's a 3-fight winning streak. Or was this Vettori maybe not being himself, declining, or just the realities of him being off nearly 2 years with an injury recovery coming into this fight?
I don't know if it's hard for me to exactly say. If you're off that amount of time, you obviously have to consider that a relevant factor in a prize fighter's career. That is in a significant amount of time, and we didn't really talk about it, but of course, part of that was related to injury, rehabilitation. These are difficult moments, but we had kind of surmised, BC, on Friday, hey, if anybody could make a good rebound from that, given his age and some other factors, it seems like Vettori had some of those factors with the wind at his back. So I don't want to say that it played no role, but I do think when I watched this fight, and I watched it a couple times, and we were texting back and forth today on the train ride, I think Dolidze got better. I think Dolidze got better. Now, if you look at the numbers for Vettori, in the first 3-round fight, he was competing somewhere in terms of strikes landed per minute, strikes landed per round, somewhere in the high 30s, almost at 40. Mm-hmm. In this fight, he was high teens and then low 20s. So his output for Vettori was not nearly as high. But if you just look at who made not huge, but slight yet meaningful adjustments, I think it was Roman Dolidze. I think he had better defense. I think he had better understand. I mean, obviously, 3rd round was a bit tough. Obviously, he got hurt there.
Better pacing.
Better
Stamina. Look, I thought he was going to fold in the 5th round. Not fall apart fold, but I thought he was going to get outworked in that final round. Yet he was the one pushing the offense and closing strong. I got to give that up to him.
Yes, and he had more offensive ideas in this fight than he did in the first one.
What was Nick Sick calling it? Chaos?
Yes. Dude, a lot of this. Yes, and he was some of that landed. What round was it when he hit him with the back elbow in like the 4th or the 5th? I forget which one it was, where it had an effect. It just looked to me like Dolidze, we talked about it. Were those last 2 wins he had before this one, were they against the very best middleweights? No, not necessarily, or in the case of Smith up at 205, no, not necessarily, but these are still important victories to get. You can fine-tune your craft through all of it. You get your paychecks flowing. You're staying active. I think, BC, for me, accumulatively, the story is, did Dolidze transform? No, I don't think he transformed, but he got incrementally yet meaningfully better. And Vettori, I Let me say this about
He
Vettori.
went hard 5 rounds.
He went hard 5 rounds.
Layoff.
First of all, his chin is fucking ridiculous.
His conditioning is also very good.
Did you not get a sickening feeling in your stomach when, I think it was round 5, when Dolidze hit him with that knee?
Yes.
And you could hear it go crack. And dude, Vettori just treated it like it was a light breeze. His chin is absurd. And there were a couple of, remember, they're open stance. So it's one southpaw, one orthodox. Vettori had a couple of back up open side counters.
It wasn't consistent, but you could see the ATT Mike Brown
That's right.
effect on
You
him.
could see some things he was trying to add. He just wasn't there
Little
yet.
head movement. Little bit of head movement every once in a while.
Hard to go for him from defense to offense.
Yes.
He's either got offense or
it's
he's
one
got
or the
defense.
other.
Right.
That's a great point.
But he did have the open side counters a couple of times. It wasn't like Vettori looked like trash. That's really not the point. Dolidze being active, working on his craft, having some new ideas, adjusting for some things the first time, to me, that made all the difference.
No doubt about it. Well, look, this is a close matchup, first fight and second fight. First fight, I thought Dolidze won 2-1, but it would go 2-1, 2-1, 3-0 on those scorecards. This time around, over 5 rounds, all 3 judges had it 49-46, so 4 rounds to 1.
I did not.
For Dolidze, which I thought was a little much. All 3 judges gave Dolidze the first and second rounds. I thought the first round should have gone to Vettori. I thought round 3, when Vettori dropped Dolidze, I gave him that round.
Yes.
But I give Dolidze credit in rounds 4 and 5 for coming back and on my scorecard, sealing it 3-2. Did you have it similar?
My scorecard is identical. Round 3, clear round for Vettori. Rounds 4 and 5, clear rounds for Dolidze. Round 2, clear rounds for Dolidze, and that's simply enough. Round 1, the debate is whether or not Vettori, who numerically outlanded Dolidze, did better work. And I think people who scored it for Dolidze say he landed less, but he landed more authoritatively. I didn't see it that way, but it doesn't matter. Either way, 2, 4, and 5, clear rounds for Dolidze. He's your rightful winner.
They both show, I mean, look, was it the highest level, even though it was 2 guys lingering around the top 10, one in, one on the outside? No, it wasn't Adesanya versus Whittaker level. But the chins, the gas tanks, the will of both, I did enjoy the fight overall. Long Island, look, before we hear from Vettori, do you think there's a case scoring-wise, 3-2 here for Vettori?
Nah, I had it Dolidze 4-1. I don't think there's a case.
Did you think the first round was close?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I thought the whole fight was close, but like I still thought Dolidze clearly won.
One guy just kind of pulled ahead, yeah.
Yeah, well, tough break for Vettori because he did fight hard, 25 minutes. He's been in so many 5-round main events, whether he's deserved them all or not, right? He's been kind of a favorite of UFC. I mean, there does seem to be that Lorenzo connection that's brought up a lot with the Italians there.
And again, his youth. He's at one of the young, well, I mean, that's changing now, but for a long time, he's been kind of one of these upstart middleweights and still in their 20s, waiting for him to turn the corner. It's just
he
not
hasn't turned the
yet.
corner, and that was the big question we had coming in. Would he show us a drastic improvement of craft? There were pockets of improvements of craft, little moments that helped him, but they were both swinging for the fences on every punch. So it came down to that will, that
But dude,
chin.
let me say this. You had Dominic Cruz mentioning this, and I think Dominic Cruz mentions this all the time. But the reason why he does this all the time is because it's relevant all the time. And I'm not talking about underhooks. I'm talking about fakes and feints. And he made a point, I think it was around round 3, where he was just saying to them, or saying to the broadcast, to the audience, that, you know, these guys are just kind of jousting. They're not really opening each other up a little bit. For me, that was one of my big criticisms of this fight. It's like these guys are senior level fighters. Dolidze closer to 40 than he is 30 at this point. I think he's 36 years old. I was hoping for a little bit more of that.
That's why I think when we get into the whole discussion around, like, there's the winner, and in this case, Dolidze, how far does he catapult into true contention? There was no setups. There wasn't a lot of jabbing. There weren't really takedown, attempts, maybe outside of one. So it really was just who's going to be tougher over 25 minutes, who can land the bigger shots. Entertaining to a certain degree, but I don't think like either one raised their stock aggressively outside of Roman fixing the cardio issues and showing you that, look, if you can go 25 hard with him, he's got the tools to win that. But this was a very, not basic, but sort of simplistic fight in that regard. Well, let's hear from Vettori in terms of losing this close fight in his return from that, shoulder injury?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Here's Marvin Vettori.
Yep. Nothing too bad. Just some cuts and bruises. Fuck, man. Life sometimes shows you that even you give your heart out and everything you got, you still fall short. That was a close fight. Almost had him on the third. But I guess it wasn't enough. And, yeah, man, fuck. I don't even know what to say. Just thank you to ATT, the best in the world, bro. Thank you, Dan, Mike, Makahan, Mako. JJ, everybody, bro. Even all the sparring partners helping me out. Love you, bro. Love you guys. And thank you, UFC. What the fuck can I say, bro? I don't know. That's it.
Luke, serious question. Too many BBLs in that time off?
First of all, let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Is there a thing as too many BBLs? I don't know.
I listen. Okay. I have two opinions about the state of Marvin Vettori. On the one hand, he's doing what we're asking him to do in the sense that he had to get right with his injury. He changed up camps. He moved all the way across the country, or at least, for the camp anyway. I'm not sure where he exactly collects his mail.
Do you remember where his old camp was?
It was King's MMA. He was with Rafael Cordero.
Right. That's right.
And I think he was doing some other stuff too, but that was the base of it. And he finally goes over to Florida. Training with Mike Brown and ATT. They're going to get you. I don't know how far they can take you, but however far that is, they're going to get it.
Yes.
Right. And so all of those things I really like, and I really appreciate, and I do think if he keeps investing in that, it will pay dividends. At the same time, while I am appreciative of the fact that he's coming off of injury, off the layoff, camp change, these are difficult things to, it takes, King Mo told me this one time, it takes time when you go to a new camp to get adjusted, even if that you're clicking with them automatically, there's just layers of that bond that have to get built over time. It's just a function of how much time you have. At the same time, the big knock on what he was doing was there just wasn't, he's a decision machine either way. Either he wins via decision or he loses via decision because he does have that foundational game, but there's nothing dangerous. He has to find that, BC.
Yes.
He's got to find that extra gear. And I do believe Mike Brown can do it. And dude, look at the fucking guy. He looks like
$1 million.
Hercules.
Yeah, he does.
Walking around out there.
And when you have, I don't know how long it's going to last, but when you have a gas tank, a chin, and a willingness, you can go very, very far.
To the point you raised about why the UFC has belief in him. Okay, the fact that he's of Italian descent, probably doesn't hurt.
I don't think it hurt him at all.
But the other parts there is, you look at it on paper and you're like, dude, there's something here. We're just kind of waiting. Maybe it was a bit much this time because of all the factors we've mentioned, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. I do think it's something to pay attention to. And I think for people who might be writing him off, being like, oh, he's regressed, might be a little early to say something like that. Let's see how the rest of the year goes.
He would tweet afterwards that he wants a trilogy.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that.
No one's going to want that now, but do we see it down the road? Does it matter?
I don't.
All
There's
right.
no need to run that. They didn't need to run this fight
I agree with that. Now, Dolidze would say ultimately that not fighting angry for the first time was a big part of his adjustment. Here's Dolidze talking about this victory.
A lot of guys we are going to war. Listen, these guys don't see the war. I see plenty of wars in my life. 2008 in Georgia, when I was born in 90s in Georgia, 2014 in Ukraine, 2022 in Ukraine. I saw a lot of bad things. People don't know what is real war, and when these guys are going there and say, we are going to war and this and that, and I'm looking at their eyes and they're very serious about it. I understand these guys don't know nothing about it. If they want to see the war, I can take them, I can show them if they want. But I respect all of them. It's not like they are my enemies or something. That's why when I saw Marvin during weightings, I go to him, I said, Marvin, I was in Rome. It's an amazing city. I loved it so much. I loved Italian food. I speak with him. He was a little bit shocked probably, didn't understand why I'm talking with him. But I'm not looking at these guys like my enemies for life or something. I'm a cruel guy. I'm going there because I know that they want to hurt me, and I try to hurt them also. But it doesn't mean that I'm mean to them, and it's only sport for me and nothing more.
Yeah, it's not real war. Do you think that there should be a rule if you're going to wear the Game of Thrones type clothing that you should have to have killed the animal? I mean, he might have, to be fair.
I would not doubt. Once again, I've said this before. If you wear dead animals, and I don't mean like leather, Michael Kors jacket you bought at JCPenney. I don't mean that. But I mean like real ass fucking game that you killed. You mean business.
Yeah. Well, that is interesting for him to say that it happened this late in his career where he finally figured out how to keep his emotions and poise in check. And he was basically saying that
it's maturity.
In fire, in the fight, he would get hit, get mad, and use up a lot of his gas tank in that regard.
Oh, sorry. I'm putting my hand up on the camera. But again, I'm not saying transformational, but did it look to you like he was overall, relative to the first fight, or certainly earlier in his career, making better decisions? I would argue that it looked that way. And when you're calm, you can do that.
Yeah, better, but not best. And I know we'll talk in a second about who he called out and what his future is. But Luke, even though he upped his output, which was a key part of winning this fight, along with fixing his stamina, he was fighting a single strike opponent. I don't know if that output is going to win him fights against the elites. We'll get to that. I want to bring up the elephant in the room, though, and that's Herb Dean. that's the eye poke central that went down. It's every week that we're talking about eye pokes, and they're back with the old gloves, which I think makes it happen more. But the central tension here is that referees are not following through and taking away points. Dolidze was warned early at the start of round 2 by referee Herb Dean before it started, with Coach Nickstick there to just sort of say, look, this is not going to be allowed. You want to do this, which they would talk on the air, like who would do that? Bisping was saying, he's probably right. Either do a fist or whatever, but this is just not going to work. Within the next minute, he poked Vettori in the eye.
Right in the eye.
And was given a softer warning, was given if this happens again, then we're going to be talking about it. There was never a threat of a point in there, and it wasn't the last time that there were fouls between these two. Luke, and I think this is aligned, by the way, with Steve Willis's performance in the Gervonta Davis fight. I think it's an overall groupthink by the commissions that they don't want to become part of the story. But by not becoming part of the story, they're becoming part of the story. This cannot be where there's 8 or 9 referees that are all getting it wrong. This seems institutionalized, doesn't it?
Long Island
doesn't
Luke,
it, though?
To this point, Long Island Luke, top of your head, don't give me a random one. I'm going to ask in a very specific way. What was the last time you can remember a referee in MMA taking a point from a fighter for an eye poke?
Fuck, man.
Right. Right.
I don't know, but wait, back to BC's point of the group think thing.
Yeah.
I believe it was the Ryan Spann fight. I could be wrong. There was something like 3 or 4 fouls. It was Mark Smith refereeing.
Yes.
Didn't even consider taking a point in
Nothing.
anything. 3 or 4 fouls. It was just ridiculous.
I understand that.
This is not a UFC issue. This is a commission issue.
It's a commission issue. It has nothing to do with UFC. I understand that if you look at the bylaws, it is not legal to poke another fighter in the eye. And I'm here to tell you that practically speaking, it is entirely legal.
Low blows are the same thing.
It is entirely. Somebody show me the proof that if you didn't know anything about MMA and you just watched it, how would you ever know, other than the fact that the referee might say something, but there's no penalty, like nothing? How would you ever know that it was against the rules? You might stop it because it's like an accidental thing where you ever watch 2 teams in South America play soccer and then like a dog shows up on the field and they have to pause the game and get rid. That's how they treat eye pokes. It is absolutely illegal on paper. It is practically 100% legal to the point you can do it multiple times in a fight. BC, you can even do it multiple times to your opponent in a round.
Yes.
This is absurd.
As Manel Kopp scraped the eyes of his opponent to set up the finish, not to mention the Cejudo fight, not to mention when Weidman blinded Bruno Silva, and on and on. It's going to be weapon. So I want to say, what's the thing that's going to finally make him the change? And it's going to be a serious injury to an elite fighter that can't fight anymore because of it. But is there anything else that could make it change? What about if teams start actually weaponizing this? Meaning it's the end of the second round, you realize you're on your way to being down 0-2 in a 3-round fight.
Fuck out of
What's
them.
the first thing you're going to do? Kick him in the nuts to get a stoppage so you can get some rest time and regroup and start to build the momentum in your favor through fouling. And I know that we romanticize guys like Bernard Hopkins in boxing who have almost like a John Stockton in the NBA. They've learned how to weaponize cheating in such a smart way that we applaud them for it, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing, I guess, maybe when you look back at the pitchers in the 70s and 80s who would always have Green. Something illegal and, something illegal that they can use to pitch, and we'd be like, well, they're smarter than everybody else. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. But dude, it's going to set up strategic cheating on a regular basis if this doesn't get snipped. And for as much as we rail UFC, it's not a UFC issue. I would like Dana to be more vocal about it against it, because I feel like his voice can lead to change, because we do assume at the end of the day that a lot of these state commissions can be swayed by money or the possibility of money. I don't mean direct bribes. I mean, we got to keep these promoters happy so they bring their big fights to our state. If you don't think that's part of MMA right now, you're not reading the MMA draw about all these government contracts and how these cities are like, we need you, TKO. Come bring your whole circus the whole weekend. We got to drive up tourism and all that stuff. But it's bad. But in this case, do you think this affected Vettori enough to say that if those fouls hadn't happened, maybe it's a different fight?
Even if he had taken a point based on the way the judges went, it still would have been Dolidze that won. So it wouldn't have affected the outcome per se, at least in this particular case. Although again, hard to know what would happen if you take a foul and blah blah blah. But I just feel like this is I feel like I remember when Anthony, rest in peace, Rumble Johnson, got poked in the eye. Here we go. Here's how fucking old I am. By Kevin the Fire Burns.
Wow.
Right? He gets poked in the eye, and it's a terrible fucking eye poke. They have to, I believe they did a rematch, and then, at that point, Rumble dispatched him viciously. But, like, the point I'm trying to make is, can you look up when their first fight was, Long Island Luke?
He has the internet.
The first Kevin the Fire Burns and Rumble Johnson fight. The point I'm trying to make is we have literally, at best, made no improvements at all since then. And this is the part, like, again, you're right. It's not a UFC issue. You're 100% right. It's a commission issue.
It was July of 2008.
This is what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. We're almost 20 years later. What the hell is happening? But this is what I wanted to say. I remember after every single UFC event when Dana White wanted Steve Mazzagatti gone, and he would go to fucking town on him. And I'm not even saying that's necessarily fair. Mazzagatti was not a good ref. I don't know if he deserved exactly the treatment that he got.
Yamasaki got it hard too.
Who?
Mario Yamasaki.
Yeah,
he got
did.
run out too.
He did.
Basically.
But although his brother still does reffing when they go back to the
and he brought this into our lives, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the heart. Yeah, Tukey does that too. So don't hate on that.
Oh yeah.
But what I wanted to say was, I remember what an effect it had when Dana did it accumulatively. I guess I don't understand why he doesn't do it, other than does he just not consider it to be a problem? Do the people in charge, like we're here talking about it like it's a huge problem. I don't know what the evidence is that the people in charge consider it a problem, and that by itself is a problem.
I think that they just want to not be part of our shows the next Monday of like, oh my God, did you see Herb Dean took away a point? If he wouldn't have taken that away, this fight could have been whatever, but they're getting the opposite. So let's hear Roman Dolidze speak upon something that he seemed to have benefited from, these eye pokes.
I didn't try, if there was something, I didn't remember it quite good because I wasn't trying to do this. If it happened accidentally, and I didn't want to do it to damage him or do something wrong to his eyes.
Yeah, because I know a lot of times when it's hand fighting, you're reaching out, you're trying to either paw at them, you're trying to either stop their strike before it comes. It's just unfortunately when you do that, your fingers are extended out there. Yeah. Is there any way to do that, you think, with maybe a closed fist, or is it just something you have to kind of just actively tell yourself going in there?
I was actively telling me after a couple times when the judge told me, sometimes you can see like, I was doing like this in the middle of fight because I need to close them. And I was doing like that because I'm not trying to do it. Yeah. And it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
He's not a cheater
in
that sense.
They've got to change the structure of how you do it. They've got to teach them, just like in the NFL of tackling below the head, tackling shoulders down. It's got to start, and the only way to do that is policing it. So that's it. That's that right there. We got some big call-outs, though, from Roman Dolidze. Some big ones. We're talking about former champions Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya. And if you look at this fight coming in their rankings, it is time for Dolidze now on a 3-fight win streak to really find out where he is. Let's hear Roman talking about the future.
All these guys need opponent. They need to fight somebody. They need to have some opponent. I don't care if somebody else will be from top 5. I'm also ready. I don't really care much. But I said more realistic fights because both of them are from they lost. And that's why I said I don't really care who will be from top 5.
It's more just trying to get into that top 5.
Realistic. Being realistic, who is ready and who need opponent. And because there are some guys who really deserve to fight for title, like Caio you mentioned, like Imamov also, there are a couple guys, good guys, and they are waiting, they are in a line. If they will give me these guys, I'm ready anyway. But there are more realistic fights, and that's why I said these names. Both of these guys have good names. More important for me, the name. Of course, Adesanya maybe was more on the top, and it will be better for me for my name to fight Adesanya. But Whittaker also was champion. He's well skilled, a very good fighter. It's not about personality or something. It's all about name and quality of opponent. And Adesanya will be better if we're telling about more loud name, of course.
So, Luke, let me update you on the ratings. Heading into this fight, Dolidze was 11, Vettori was 8. Okay, the champion, of course, is DDP. Number 1 is Imavov. Number 2 is Strickland.
Mm-hmm.
3 is the man who we think is getting next, Khamzat Chimaev.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 and 5 are Adesanya and Whittaker. So if Dolidze, number 11, beats number 8, and he's looking for that, I really feel like either of those names are kind of perfect right now.
So just one quick clarification. You're basically right. Dolidze is sitting at 12 as we currently speak.
Okay.
That obviously.
Not 11.
Not 11, but you know, I mean, basically right there. And you're right. Vettori's sitting at 8. So let's assume that he bumps to 8. Izzy and Whittaker 4 and 5.
Dude, they don't have fights right now.
They don't.
So Izzy's coming off losing streaks.
Yep.
Whittaker's coming off what was his last outing?
Who did Whittaker just lose
Hamzat.
to? Hamzat.
So he loses to Hamzat,
Yeah.
so he needs a reset.
And by the way, that was a bad stoppage. I mean, it was a good stoppage, but it was a bad loss. And Izzy got smoked by Imavov.
So I'm down with either of those. MMA Twitter seems to think that Dolidze is going to be headlining a 5-rounder against Strickland in the Apex coming up.
That's also a possibility.
What is the right fight to reward him for 3 in a row and a victory over a top 10 guy?
You know, listen, if he can get the Izzy fight and the Whittaker fight, he's smart to call him out. There's certainly nothing wrong with trying to call your shot. The problem is, and he's right, Kyle Bahalio sitting at 6, but he might have business inside the top 5. Here's the problem. And I don't think it's a bad fight necessarily, but it's not super sexy. Cannonier just had a great win.
Yes.
And he's sitting at 7. So.
And they haven't fought, right?
And not recently, right?
They have not fought, but I was saying that's the fight to make, dude. They are going to headline the Apex for
Right.
like UFC Vegas 120.
I like the fight, though. I do like the fight.
Like I said, I just feel like you couldn't go wrong with Izzy or Whittaker. Certainly, again, Bahalio's probably got a date up there. But the Cannonier factor, Cannonier, you know, that was a tough-ass win in his last fight. This was a tough win for him in this fight. I just feel like they're made for each other especially if it's going to be an Apex fight.
Here's the hard question. Rank those possible 3 opponents, Whittaker, Adesanya, Cannonier, in terms of difficulty for Roman, or just in terms of, like, could he beat them? Because I'm not sure yet on Cannonier, and even though Whittaker and Adesanya are coming off of defeats, I just don't think Dolidze is on their level.
I think all of them are pretty tough. I'd probably say Whittaker's the toughest because he's just going to be a little harder to hit. Izzy appears a little bit more hittable these days, unfortunately.
But Cannonier was willing to brawl in his last fight.
That's the other part, too. Cannonier can be hit, but he'll just stand in the pocket with you. And what were you going to say?
I was just going to say Cannonier is also 40+, so he's got to be the most.
Yeah, but does he
winnable.
look 40+?
It doesn't matter how he looks. It's
No,
how he-
but I'm saying I don't mean like bodybuilding. I mean like when he performs, does he look 40+? You know what I mean?
Right, but if we're comparing to Whittaker or Izzy, Cannonier is definitely the easier fight.
For sure.
And the style-wise, if he brawls, but if they brawl, that's
But
going to be
I was
great
going to say,
TV.
styles make fights. Like, that's all. I mean, in some ways, it's an easier fight. In some ways, it's slight, depending on how he takes it, a bit of a riskier fight. Point taken. I mean, Cannonier has not had the career that either Whittaker or Izzy has had. But I just feel like Cannonier, Dolidze, that's where we're headed on all this stuff.
All right. I think where we're headed in topic number 2 is finding if there's more room in Luke's underpants for new fighters. Here we go. Topic number 2 is your UFC Apex undercard from the Fight Night 104 over the weekend. Let's just skip right down to the fighter that Luke Thomas told you to watch for and told you how his wife would have pronounced his name.
Mm-hmm.
This is Kevin Vallejos.
Not bad. That's close.
First round TKO stoppage over Choi Sung-woo, 23 years old, from Argentina, so you know he's here to be a gaucho, steal your girl, and knock you out. Luke, just how impressive was this? And if not him, we'll get to who else impressed you on a card that did produce 9 finishes across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But let's stay with Argentina's Vallejos, that cracking overhand right. And is this his second UFC fight?
First,
because
second contender series fight.
The contender series was before that. Like, are we ready to kind of catapult a guy like this? Or
Man,
what?
I just got to say, I mentioned it before. MMA On Point put out a video talking about how much older everyone in the UFC is getting, in particular their champions, but not exclusively them, right? And we talked about this with the lightweight guys. It's just a fact that lightweight contenders and lightweight champions are now older than they ever have been. This is not a lightweight fight. This is a featherweight contest. But the point I'm trying to make is that's true more broadly anyway. So the reason I bring that up is when I see a 23-year-old kid who is still raw and at times a little reckless, but clearly has some real awesome ability. And in particular, the ability we just talked about what Vettori doesn't have, the ability to turn defense into offense, to slip and counter, which is exactly what he did. Now, to be clear, Choi was coming into this fight with a heavy heart. His mother apparently had passed away a month ago.
Yeah.
God only knows how much that could have been a real obstacle to performance here. And so, we are dealing with someone in, again, you can say Vallejos, you can say, as my wife would say, Vallejos, or you can do like the Argentines would say, which is Vallejos.
I'm going to have to ask Martine Botter.
Did you hear, by the way, I have to say this, Brendan Fitzgerald, did you hear how he pronounced it?
I know, but I saw your tweet praising him.
So I don't understand this. They're the only ones who do this. The Argentines, the double L in Spanish, you most commonly hear it as a Y, an English Y. So Vallejos, that's how you commonly hear it. In places like in Colombia, they'll put a J on it, like an English J, so it's Vallejos. The Argentines make it a sh sound. So they say Vallejos. They don't say Medellin, they say Medellin. Okay?
It looks like Medellin.
Medellin, but it's Medellin. Or to Colombians, it's Medellin. To Argentines, it's Medellin. I'm pointing out.
That's some Mike Krzyzewski bullshit right there, okay?
I'm telling you, Brendan Fitzgerald had it exactly right. Very, very impressive level of homework.
I like Fitzy, by the way.
But here's what I want to say about Vallejos, however you want to pronounce it. A little bit of Topuria there. Little bit.
Oh, wait. What does that even mean? Wait.
Little bit of Topuria.
Luke,
aggressive.
Let me guess, Luke. You saw the same TikTok I saw of the comparisons of them too. I saw them going like strike for strike in an edit.
I have not seen any TikToks.
And now I feel like everyone's saying that.
No. I didn't see it. There's a TikTok about. I swear on
it might have been
mother,
like an
I've not seen
Instagram. Either way,
Okay,
I definitely.
Okay, before he waxes
I said a little bit
poetic. Long Island Luke, you're going to have to be the boner patrol here to keep this man in a healthy public state.
They're going to deport me.
Was that Topuria-esque? Did you feel flashes?
I didn't say Topuria-esque.
Did you feel flashes of sex that came off of that performance?
He looked really good. I'm not going to take
yes.
anything away from the guy, but we have to factor in Song-Woo Choi. He was finished in 3 of his last 4 coming
I
into
understand.
that.
I understand. Listen, this was a UFC debut. No more, no less.
It was
we all
impressive.
agree? And the point is, and I said it at the top of the question which you asked, which was, is he still raw and, somewhat reckless? And obviously green generally, even though he's got like 15 fights. But, in terms of legitimate, tough competition pushing him deep into rounds, he's very, very green. There's a lot that's unknown about him. But some of the way in which he sets up attacks, some of the attacks he goes for, these overhand blitzes in particular.
He's a wrestler too, right?
I think he has some. But the striking is what I was most impressed by. And of course, he's miles away from Ilia Topuria, of course. But you can tell, what I'm trying to point out is these transcendent figures, and it was, McGregor before him and everyone else, but you're seeing this evolution of more guys electing to be pocket boxers.
Yes.
In particular, some of the shorter guys who have to make up that reach because they have to get closer to their opponent. The ones who are athletic, who have natural ability, and obviously, he works really hard as well, like this gentleman from Argentina, it creates for a very exciting prospect. And I do think he is borrowing, not explicitly from Topuria, but again, that long lineage of pocket boxers who have really revolutionized that kind of style of late.
Don't forget the original pocket boxer, Tyson Griffin, who I used to love. Remember that?
Tyson Griffin.
I remember
when
he beat Faber.
He did. Also, remember, Frankie Edgar made his UFC debut against Tyson Griffin, and no one knew who Frankie Edgar was.
Yes.
And people were like, oh, Tyson Griffin's going to run the fucking table on this guy. And then Frankie Edgar gave him the business.
Look, Kevin.
He's like, but JJ.
Kevin Vajayjay. He even had Fiona. Is that his teammate or just countrywoman? Fiona meaning Eileen Perez, who's on a streak right now. She's streaking.
I do not know if they're teammates.
She was cage side and throwing shirts into the ring, celebrating. So if he's got a little bit of that spirit in him, then we can be having some fun in the future here at featherweight. He also seems to be a good guy. Here's Kevin Vajayjay.
All right.
Okay, being really nice here. So Damon Martin would tweet out that Kevin Vallejos uses his post-fight interview to advocate for Sung-Woo Choi to get another fight in the UFC after he still showed up to compete despite suffering the personal loss prior to the event. What a freaking class act. Kevin would quote tweet that and say, Choi lost his mother less than a month ago and still fought me. My heart aches for him. I really hope he gets another shot in the UFC. That's a good guy move, and I don't think we see enough of that in this non-Bushido cage, okay? You know what I'm saying? There used to be about that Shiat, right?
Yeah, I was waiting, I'm more commonly expecting each one to call each other slurs, but
yes.
Not this time, thank
God.
God.
Not this time at all. But Vallejos would also talk about what he wants here and moving forward, how quickly they want to throw him in there with some big names.
Honestly, I'm on a cloud right now. Like, truly, I can't remember, like, what hand I hit him with, how I knocked him out, like, what round it even ended in. It's just all, like, surreal. And I sacrificed so much. I went to Brazil for 5 weeks to do my camp. And, no, I'm on a cloud right now. Yeah, there's definitely one person on my mind. We're at different stages in our career right now. He's on a 5-fight win streak. That man's name is John Silva. I want to fight him because I want to fight the best. I want my rematch with him, and I'm going to be the one that takes the title from him. So whatever comes, I'm going to eat here. That's good. And then when I get back to Argentina,
dude.
Yeah, by the way, he's talking about eating Argentinian food.
Kevin Vallejos versus Gian Silva.
So they fought already.
It's one of these. Right?
Yeah, that's a weird one that you are doing that. They fought already. Silva won, but remember, Kevin was 21 at the time. This is what I mean. He's so.
What federation is this?
No, they were in Contender Series.
Oh, right, they fought
Contender Series, and Vallejos won a round on all 3 judges' cards too, so it was close.
So the point I'm trying to make is, this is my whole point. Everything's coming to him a little bit early. He's a little bit raw. He's very young, but he's got some exciting possibilities. And what I love is, he's right. Silva is moving on ahead. Silva's going to be fighting, obviously, Bryce Mitchell, UFC 314. But I like how he's got this long-range kind of target he's getting after. And if he keeps moving up, by the time that they do fight again, dude, it's going to be electric. I can't wait for that.
And I forgot that they had fought in the Contender Series. That was part of our storyline coming in for these 2 fights. But interesting. That rematch it'll have a Makhachev Sarikin type of backstory to it, and I like those.
A little bit. That's right.
You fight early in your
That's
career,
right.
you know, which also we just saw at middleweight with Fluffy and the other guy. Remember that fight? It was sloppy, but it was fun.
Brendan Allen?
Yes.
Yeah. Although he was, as we talked about, Fluffy was messed up.
Yes, that is true.
BC, what about you? Who did you think stood out?
I did enjoy this card. Long Island Luke called it great.
I think it's a little strong.
That felt a little bit strong.
It was a good card.
It was a good card. Yes, I agree with that.
Well, let's talk about Chidi and Jaquani against Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. That's a mouthful. He gets the second round finish. It was pretty gnarly, pretty brutal, but it felt like a escalation of the run he's been on.
He did miss weight. That's a problem.
We do have to account that.
He did miss weight, and not terribly, but he did miss it. He wanted to cut his hair. They wouldn't let him. I thought he looked great, all things considered.
It was back and forth early.
He's been kind of competing, in the shadows of the UFC in a weird way. And I think now he's kind of earned maybe like a pay-per-view slot or some kind of opportunity on a bigger card against a bigger name. He's sort of proven at this point he can do. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. There are some limits to it, but in any event, this was a great performance, and building off of it, I think, is something he's earned.
We were looking out for Damon Blackshear against Cody Gibson here at bantamweight.
You know what? Cody Gibson fought pretty good.
Well, you could see he's like in the best shape of his career. He's got new tattoos. Like he's going for it, and he went for it here, but he did get submitted. And it was after having a lot of success too. So how big of a win for Blackshear? And as I think we're insinuating here that this it's not going to end Gibson's run. He's still here.
I thought Gibson, again, credit to Damon Blackshear. He was the sharper guy down the stretch. And also, it looked to me, BC, when they were tying up, there was a clear physical advantage for Blackshear. He just looked to be stronger, more athletic, and that's okay. But, dude, Cody Gibson is such an interesting story. He went to the UFC a lot. I think he fought Manny Gamborian back in the day. And, had to kind of, muddle around.
Fought Aljo, too.
Yeah. And he had to kind of muddle around in the regional scene. He was a history teacher. I think he still might be in high school. And now he's back in the UFC. And I think he's very much cleaned up his technique. He's much more well-rounded. But he's a little bit older, 37 years of age, I believe. And Blackshear is quite skilled. And as I mentioned, not just very skilled, but I thought there was a real physical difference between them. So I don't think there's really any shame in this performance by Cody Gibson, but definitely another great win for Damon Blackshear.
2 in a row now for Alexander Hernandez, a guy at lightweight who we always think is better than the amount of losses that he has, but he can make mistakes. He can be hit or miss.
How did you score that?
Competitive fight with Kurt Hollabaugh.
I had it 29-28.
For Hernandez?
Yeah, 30-27 is absurd.
30-27 was
it was a very competitive fight.
I thought there were definitely... Here's what I thought. I thought Hollabaugh was better through big portions. Takedowns failed him, right? He couldn't defend the takedown, and underneath he just couldn't necessarily do a whole lot. And I'm going to say this, there was punctuated moments where you could definitely see Hernandez surge back, like reclaim the round. So for that reason, I actually thought it was a pretty good performance from Hernandez.
I did. I thought it was mature.
Yes.
He's always in like third team all body shape, right?
He just had, oh my God. But he just had like the weirdest UFC start where he just KOs Dariush. He beats OAM, and you're like, dude, holy fuck, this guy came out of nowhere. Yeah. And then he called Donald Cerrone day drinking Don, and it was bad news after that. But to the point, this is a guy who you can tell has been in the gym working, and at least it paid off here.
Are we allowed to shout out Waldo Cortez Acosta on 4 straight heavyweight wins?
Okay, that was not a great fight
against Ryan Spann, who
he didn't look great.
No, he didn't look great.
He didn't look great.
And he went down weird on that. I know it was the replay would show it was a short shot that turned his chin.
Yeah.
But when you're watching in real time, it kind of looked like he just fell.
Like a failed Harai Goshi. Yeah, it didn't go great.
But he did get beat up hard on the ground.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a speed advantage, and he looked slower than. Did you feel he looked faster? He didn't look faster to me at all.
This is such low level of competition. It's like that's where the heavyweight division is at. It's where it's usually at. To be fair, there's not a lot of consistency there. Bantamweight Carlos Vera did get a bonus afterwards for that first round submission.
50-50 BJJ out of Falls Church, Virginia, Carlos Vera.
Was it Josias Musasa? Is that how we say his opponent?
Yes. He got hit with the fade away, and then the head kick comes over the top when you're not looking, and then he took his back, and then he had to switch the grip a couple times, but he got it on the choke.
Long Island Luke, did you do the whole he's Brazilian, so I'm going to bet him by submission?
He's Ecuadorian, actually.
He is Ecuadorian.
Wow. I take that back.
Yeah.
He looked like shit, I got to say, until he got that finish. Also, biggest dog on the card. He was like plus 550 cash.
Yeah, but he showed up when it I'll say this. To finish off with that smooth-ass back take, that was nice. That was real slick.
His ground game is no joke, but he kept pulling guard. I mean, I know he has Ryan Hall in his corner. You mentioned 50-50, but like, dude, it looked
the 50-50 guys, they believe in the guard. You know what I mean? And I understand that, you know.
All right, let's talk about these ladies that kicked off the card. Not necessarily maybe about what this win does for them, but it was interesting to see back-to-back first-round stoppages in women's fights. At flyweight, Carly Judice knocked out Unieski Duben, and a lot of people were DMing me Unieski picks as if I keep some like collection of women on the scale. You know what I mean? I'm like, can we have some? No, can we treat these with dignity? Then at bantamweight, Priscilla Cachoeira gave it to Josiane Nunes, and that was
smoked her.
Absolutely,
it's rare you see a one punch. I mean, Jessica Andrade has given us a few of those, but it's rare you see one punch KOs in women's MMA. Again, I've been down on women's MMA. I was very happy to see this. Congratulations to all the ladies. They performed great.
So this fight night card, which we said on paper coming in to be very fair, we said the same kind of jerkish question we say a lot. Is this actually the worst of the Apex fight night cards in terms of, amount of non-Wikipedia page entrants, spillover of Dana White Contender Series, and did we need this main event? All those questions, even though I enjoyed for most this card and the main event. Well, UFC took that criticism, and when they had a hot streak here, decided to go to social media and dunk on the haters by saying fight nights at the Apex are so boring with the capitalized and lowercase. And then it says, make that 9 finishes on the night. I did enjoy the 9 finishes. This was a great TV card. There were great TV fighters on it, and there was some fun back and forth, not super high level, but some bangers, right? Not a ton to talk about in future title contention, but at least you had a breakout performance from the Argentine. At least you had a couple things going on here. But I don't think that has the impact and gratis that they think it does.
Okay, what's the issue with their tweet?
You're going to have to do a lot more to fix the actual issue, right? You know what I mean? Like any card you roll out could have that ability to be fireworks. And that's kind of why we tune in, even if we're getting angry here. And I'm not saying don't celebrate that, but that was a pointed look back at the opposition or the opposing viewpoint, whether it's fans, whether it's media, whether it's whomever, as almost like a F you, how do you like me now? It's like the card is still the card it was on paper. I just want them to know that, right?
Well, I would have a couple of different responses. I think the first thing I would say is I looked at some of the responses to that tweet, and a lot of people were like, yeah, great, but these guys should have been competing in front of a large crowd, not in front of, 5 donks sweeping a broom. That was the first thing I saw a lot of people complaining about. Now, is it true that we were probably here's the reality. The UFC has so much resources that even their overflow can at times perform quite well, and this was one of those cases. And we were probably a little too negative heading into it about its potential for fun. There always is that. You have to take that seriously. By the way, sometimes these turn out to be like god awful. I mean, they can be both, but that's the point. It could also be really fun, and you got something really fun.
But it seems tone deaf to come out and be like, "There's no issue." See?
Right. But the thing I would say is there was the guys at Tapology were tweeting about like which fight nights and which pay-per-views this year have yielded the most live traffic and interest. And of all the fight nights this year, this one was the lowest. And the point you have to understand is the UFC has created a tier of content. It's not like these fighters aren't necessarily, some aren't that great, but these ones, there were many good ones on there. It's not that these fights don't have a place. The question is, do they belong with a premium brand that is just creating a tier of overflow content so they can get more money from ESPN? Is that what they should really be doing? And of course, we've been over this debate. Some people want that, some people don't. I understand. However, the proof is in, as Floyd might say, the pudding, which is to say the way in which you can judge a card is not by how good it actually is in the end. You can try that, but what you have to look at is, what are people doing with their time? And when I worked at MMA Fighting, we would have this, I talked about it a million times. Now this proprietary software is everywhere, but at the time it was quite novel, called Chartbeat. And you could see who was coming into your site by the second and where they were going and how much they were paying attention. And that was the first lesson I got, BC, and I was like, oh, wow, people do not watch Bellator. Holy shit, This card, as the guys at Tapology said, had the lowest amount of traffic of any of the fight nights this year. If you create overflow content as the premier brand where you're just throwing fights together, throwing them in the apex, did it end up turning out pretty good? Credit to the fighters, it actually turned out pretty good.
That's not the argument that people.
But the point is no one was there to watch it, either in person or online, because there was no interest about it that had been collected.
The expectations are so low at this point. It's where we're at. So that just kind of showed it. Like, this is always the question I have. Do the matchmakers and the people that do this, do they not know that it's gone down? Are they hamstrung by the budget and what they're told and they can't tell us? Or do we not know how hard it is to actually do that job and this is the best they can do? Because I think if we're going to be the ones that have been complaining, we're looking at it as they're hamstringing them. They only have limited resources because there's so many dates to fill. That's probably the dictation of this direction, right? Of downhill. You mix it with the Dana White Contender Series. Nobody has a Wikipedia page, blah, blah, blah. Where fight nights ever deep is also another argument I get. But this argument extends to pay-per-view main cards too, by the way, right? It's not just the bottom of Apex ones. Do you think the matchmakers, if was that like an opinion of them, like nothing is wrong? You guys are the ones that have the bad expectations. Or like who's...
I'm going to give them a halfway break. We were wrong, and we need to be careful about this, which is... People are always like, oh, it's the ones that people don't pay attention to that are always good. That is not true. I can't tell you how many times people are like, I'm not going to pay attention to it, and then it also was bad. I mean, that happens all the time. But as I said before, the UFC does have a point that if you are a hardcore fan and you do care about just turning it on, it is quite possible week to week you could get a series of cards and fights from the Apex itself that can very much over-deliver. We really have to take that seriously, and we discounted that last week.
I don't think we're trying to say let's never use the Apex again or that there's no value. There is an intimate banger TV-friendly value there, just not as many.
But to the point you raised, these fights should have been in front of an audience, and more to the point, there was no promotion for this at all. Yes. It's just overflow content, and we're not the ones who treat it like overflow. They're the ones who treat it like overflow. We take the cues from them. That's it.
That's a fair point. That does kind of transition us into topic number 3 and sort of the larger debates we've been having of late about the UFC and we did that last Friday in a very extended listen to the fans and try to find out if maybe we're not looking at things the right way about where the state of UFC is at this moment, but where the state of the UFC's future broadcasting deal is getting interesting, according to a New York Post reporter who said in a recent NY Post podcast that for that media outlet, he's hearing not only is the UFC likely to sign with Netflix in their next TV deal, but that ESPN and UFC might be having a fractured relationship, with ESPN unwilling to air UFC events on their linear channels and instead just putting it on the Plus, and also pay-per-view buys being, quote, way down. How much do we believe that this, even if it's true or false here, but this is a major report in a lot of ways. How much do we believe it's true? But edged with that is, does it even matter in the end?
So, if you haven't seen this podcast. I highly encourage you to do so.
And does this make Schaub right for that conspiracy theory?
What was his conspiracy theory?
That ESPN was purposely messing with the system to make UFC look bad to gain leverage in their window of negotiation right now. And then maybe if this report is true, then there's been an apathy built up where they're just sort of.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bunch of takeaways. I think the three biggest takeaways I had from that podcast, and I'm going to assess the question that you asked. First one was he surmised, and this is several people have done this, but he surmised that the UFC is likely to end up with Netflix, which would make a lot of sense, obviously. 2, that ESPN doesn't have the same kind of loving feeling for UFC content. And one of the ways you can tell that is because they don't typically air as much as they used to on ABC or ESPN linear. All the linear channels that are not on, they're just giving them to the plus. And then 3, that pay-per-view buys are down. Let me say this. It seems to me that 1, we haven't had this independently corroborated. I'm not here to say that the guy is lying or not truthful.
And New York Post is a sensational outlet.
However, New York Post is typically pro-UFC.
Yes.
But it seems to me that both sides are leaking to the press. ESPN is leaking to the press to affect negotiations, and I suspect UFC is leaking to the press to affect negotiations. That's the first thing I'm going to say. And again, we need to see if it's independently corroborated. The second thing I'm going to say is, even if all of that is true, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but the UFC made more money in 2022 than they did in 2021. They made more money in 2023. They made more money in 2024.
Every year.
And I suspect they're going to make more money this year too. So even if there are those problems, it's not like, oh, we're facing, some kind of dire situation. They're flush with cash in a way that quite literally have never been before. I think that's what I would say. But BC, this is I think where I come down on this. I have had a sneaking suspicion, and I've been talking about it with so many different people. It's just a very basic question. Is MMA as popular as it was in 2016? Now, on some level, it can't be because that was, right before a sale. That's peak Conor. That's peak Ronda.
Which means there was a casual fan base that was stuck to it that is not there right now.
Totally. But the point I want people to make is, on the one hand, the UFC has everybody by the balls because they do control the industry. They've got most of the best fighters. Either you watch MMA with them or you basically just don't. There's really not much of an option. At the same time, I've had a nagging feeling with anecdotal evidence that there's been a decline. I've had a feeling with anecdotal evidence that something has been a little bit off. I cannot confirm this report or what he said on this podcast, this gentleman. I cannot say that. But what I would say to you, BC, is if it is true, it would certainly explain a lot. That's where I come down.
It would. But I think there are some nuances and questions within this. Do we agree that UFC is spreading itself too thin, that it's too watered down, that there's too much of at every turn to pull every cent out of it? Yes, I think we all agree that. How much of that, though, considering that the ESPN contract has been UFC's financial backbone? It's why, again, during the pandemic, they pushed so hard to meet the minimum demands of that contract. And then by doing that, became the only game in town and brought in this whole new wave of fans that are passionate about it right now. But how much of that is ESPN, though, saying we'd like this many dates? Because I thought a potentially great point was made by Kid Nate and Zach Arnold on the MMA Draw podcast, where they said ESPN coming back into that deal and renewing it midway through extended it 2 more years and may have taken UFC out of the actual golden window when they would get the most money when their deal was up because streaming was on top. Now things are changing so quickly in the digital TV streaming battle that's going on that if that's true that they did miss a window on there, we look back and be like, well, the ESPN is asking for these dates. It's kind of when Dana's doing these interviews pitching TKO boxing, everybody's like, how many fight cards a year are you going to do? How many divisions? And he keeps going, we got to get a TV deal first. Then we're going to find out what they want. If they want a show every week, we'll give them a show every week. That was actually what he said. So how much of this is because their true boss is the ESPN deal because it keeps the structure, all the lights on and allows them to be in position to make all this extra money? How much of that is because of the broadcasters want? So what I'm saying is, could there be a future if the current run of PR and events and money hurts them, or maybe like Arnold may have said, maybe they got a little bit past that perfect window where they would have gotten whatever they asked for. Is there a future where they can get a TV deal that has less dates, that forces them, if they don't get the money they want, to get after it again and be that passionate driving promoter they used to be.
Put up the tweet if you can, Long Island Luke, where somebody had summarized this. I don't know if you can take off the area. There you go. Here's what I thought was kind of interesting. They have, quote, UFC will do everything in their power to get Netflix deal. Netflix are not a fan of the pay-per-view model, but are flexible. I mean, I want to be clear. Even, I said this before, even if there are issues with the product, I feel like the UFC's next deal is going to be it'll be their most lucrative contract ever.
So you think they'll get the bump they're looking for no matter what of this recent?
So they want $1 billion a year. I don't know if they're going to get $1 billion a year, but I do know that whatever they get is going to be bigger than the last ESPN deal.
Do you think it'll be split or it'll be one deal?
That's the part I can't tell.
Okay.
That's the one I have no idea, because I don't think Netflix wants to do that pay-per-view. I think they want to have maximum access, but I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. And again, if you're right, to the extent that the broadcaster says we have interest in, I'm going to just make something up, 25 events.
Sure.
I still think that they would probably take another broadcast deal beyond that, BC. And the reason why I say that is because they've just expanded the scope of what they do so far. They're going to want to sell that to somebody. Maybe Netflix doesn't actually buy it. And so you can just, I'm just going to pay attention to the Netflix shows.
Amazon's in that ballpark too, right?
So the point being is, I mean, if you've got 600 to 700 to 800 fighters, I think they're closer to between 6 and 7. If you've got that many fighters, you need to keep them busy, or you have to restructure your organization. I don't think they're going to restructure their organization. They're going to find someone to sell that to. The question is whether or not that is Netflix.
Wow, if TKO ends up launching with the Canelo versus Bud Crawford fight on Netflix.
Dana kind of downplayed that.
I know. It feels like
he downplayed that.
It's not part of our show today, but Turkey El Sheikh put out a video that was almost like coming back after the recent criticism that came out of the TKO boxing announcement. And it feels like both him and Dana are suddenly like, well, a
little bit. No, but I mean more than that. Fight Hub TV did a quick ringside interview with the Callum Walsh fight with Dana. And they asked him hey, are you going to be part of this Crawford Canelo thing? And he's like, Turkey's got commitments. He made it to be like a Turkey thing. He didn't even say him.
See, I felt in that case that he was just trying to take the attention off because he wants it to be a big surprise. That was my thought.
Okay, yeah,
but maybe it's not finalized yet. Maybe it's still in a negotiating.
Yeah, fair.
Moment.
I don't know how to assess that.
Yeah. We only know what we know, but you don't think that this bad PR stretch or this bad stretch of market? I mean, because here's the point I wanted to make about: are they right that things aren't on ESPN as much as that SportsCenter is not putting out UFC features every 20 minutes?
I watch SportsCenter. I don't see it
either when I do come across it. So that might be part of it. But how much of that is the fact that we're talking about the star problem and stars fuel the really big crossover fights? How much of that is the fact that they didn't deliver on Jones Aspinall or Jones Ngannou, that Conor hasn't fought in forever? How much has that played a role in here? Because if those big fights would have been made, First Take's going to be talking about it, right? And it's going to make this UFC feel not niche, not a high-priced niche. It makes it feel like it's mainstream.
Do you remember when Cain Velasquez fought Francis Ngannou, and then as soon as that fight was over, they threw it on ESPN to SportsCenter, which was hosted by Ariel Helwani and Chael Sonnen live?
Wow.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Right. I remember that distinctly. When was the last fucking time something like that? That might have been the last time something like that has happened. It just doesn't happen anymore. What were you going to say?
That was the first national ESPN card, if I'm not mistaken.
It could have been. But the point is why didn't they repeat that? They didn't go back to it. It's just been a thing that they tried once. I would imagine that the UFC and ESPN. Go ahead. Every time I see you lean over like the Unabomber over there.
He's talking about.
I was telling BC something. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I would imagine that ESPN does want to stay in the UFC business, but I think certainly under vastly different terms than the first time.
But I'm chicken and the egg here. Does the fact that ESPN wanted so many dates force the UFC to water down their product, and this is the reality? Or are UFC holding some of these really good fights for the next deal? Because if you can offer, I can get McGregor Diaz 3 if you want to sign with me. Then
also worth considering, first of all, I do think that the fact that ESPN fucked up so badly UFC 313 improves UFC's hand considerably. Yes. No matter what. I think that they could be holding fights, but one thing to consider, and I have no idea to what extent this is relevant, I remember after the Reebok deal collapsed and there was leaks from the Reebok side, they had said, the UFC brought in Matt Hughes and they brought in all these different guys and they told us that the fighters were going to love it. And then there was this massive blowback and Reebok had said that they were caught by surprise. to what extent did the UFC prime the pump a little bit and saying, oh, we can definitely give you 40-plus dates a year, no problem. And the ESPN was like, great, let's take it. And now they're like, okay, right, we need to pare that back a little bit just over time. So the point I'm trying to make is you're making it out to be, or at least suggesting the possibility that it was ESPN saying, we want these dates.
Right.
And my hunch is there was a little bit of salesmanship on the side of UFC to say, we can absolutely deliver X plus,
Right.
you know.
But, the Dana White Contender Series plays into that. Everything plays into how the trends are going, but there certainly isn't a great trend for the company of late, despite the financial success.
You say that, but dude, they're gonna sign a massive deal. The next deal the UFC signs will be incontestably massive. Okay. The thing that I have a question about is not that one. It's the 5 to 10 year mark from now, where all of the chickens, if they don't change, will come home to roost. But we'll have to see how that goes. That's it.
This is going to be a very interesting time coming up if you're into the business side of this. It is wild to see, Luke.
It is wild to see. I certainly agree with that.
Yeah. We like great relationships on this show. I mean, you ever see a great pregame preview of late on Morning Kombat? Yeah. You're seeing it because of our great friends at Cuervo. And oh, by the way, now it's a good time as any to remember where tequila's story truly began. I'll take you back. 1795. Cuervo invented tequila. Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots, the same family, the same land, and that same passion that we're talking about right here. 230 years later, Cuervo still here in every pour, in every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy a tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
There it is.
We're gonna have a fun UFC 314 pregame preview.
Yes,
right?
we are with some Cuervo. Our good friends at Cuervo are going to take good care of us. Absolutely,
fantastic card. So, are you feeling the sex, especially if they put Yair Patricio on the main card? Are you feeling how damn sexy that card is right now?
Yeah, that's a sick one. That's the best card of the year thus far.
We bury our complaints, Long Island Luke, about you don't complain ever. You love this product week to week, and that's fine. That's your choice. But this is like red panty night, right? Connor was right.
This is definitely the best pay-per-view of the year so far.
For a million miles.
I love those fights. I love the in-between fights. Are you feeling Bo Nickel RDR, by the way?
By the way, that on the same card as Figgy and Sandhagen, sign me up, brother.
Yeah, sign me
and everyone was kind of
up.
like, why is Jeremy Stevens back? And we talked about it a little bit, but like the Stevens-Mason Jones fight, I'm into it. I don't hate it at all.
Right, but also they're putting it in Iowa. So it's like, it seems like a local ticket thing. Just, is that the same reason why they picked up Paige Van Sant's husband last minute in his home area there in Portland?
Again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think signing guys for regional ticket
do you
sales.
Think that's more what this is, rather than an FU to BKFC or a power move?
Yeah. I don't think it. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's a.
And by the way, Jeremy Stevens earned it with what he's done with his brand. And
absolutely.
So shout out to him on that run. Let's go to topic number 4 right now. We haven't talked about Nate Diaz in a while. All right. Let's talk about him. He told the Full Violence YouTube channel that he wants to go back to get a UFC title, not done in the octagon, but that, quote, everyone is boring right now. Is now a good time for the UFC to welcome back Nate Diaz while he wants a title fight? Which bouts would make the most sense for him? Which division? Let's talk about a possible Nate Diaz comeback, but let's hear his words himself. First, we got this tweet here. Here's the quote. Right now, there's nobody doing shit in the UFC. Everybody's boring right now, Nate said. Who's the champion right now at 170? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's no buzz, nobody doing shit. Everybody's whack. So, Luke, that came off of that podcast that he did with Full Violence on their YouTube channel, so shout out to them. Like, what is actually left with Nate in your eyes? He had the win over Jorge Masvidal in a competitive boxing fight between two old guys. He does always want to fight the best. He's always said, I want to fight Leon Edwards when he was champion. Like, get that rematch. He only wants the best. But McGregor Part 3 feels like the only UFC fight left, or Masvidal rematch. No?
I have some ideas.
No? Okay.
I have some ideas. Now, it is impossible to know exactly what Nate wants, both in terms of opponents. I mean, yeah, champion, but okay, I don't know how realistic that is.
He wants somebody red hot that will get him street cred for going in there again.
So I've got 5 names. Can I give you 5 names? Now, these 5 names, and Long Island Luke, I would love for you to weigh in on this too. I've got 5 names. I am not putting them in any particular order. I just have them. I want you to tell me what your vibe is on how good it could be, okay? Now, there is an escalation at the end, but okay. How about Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, for a retirement fight on top of that in New Orleans.
Now, he wants a champion. I know. I don't know what they can do about that.
No, that they have history, too.
Right.
From the MSG fight.
They were supposed to fight and it didn't happen the whole bit.
And if you don't show up to fight against Nate, you lost under, like, 209 street code.
Okay. I don't think that he would accept this next fight, but at 55, Nate Diaz versus Ilia Topuria. What do we think?
I mean, I've thought about it.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah. You got
That's so whack, dude. You can't have Ilya fight Nate Diaz.
I'm trying to come up with great ideas.
Why don't we just have Connor needs to be fighting Ilya?
Hold on, I got 5 names. I got 5 names.
Okay.
I think you could do a Leon Edwards rematch. How do we feel about that?
So if Leon beats Shawn Brady at UFC London next week, and you could.
Because Shavkat still is going to get...
Especially if you tell Leon you're not going to get the next title shot because of the way that this division is like Gary's, or like there's a lot of people around that need big fights. Right?
So what do you think about Leon Edwards?
I don't love it. I'm not going to lie.
What about Kamaru?
I have a good name, but I'm going to wait and see if you say it first.
Okay. So so far I've had Poirier, Topuria, and Edwards.
You don't want Kamaru at all.
Hold on. Next, this is an easy call. Conor McGregor.
Yes.
So you can do the trilogy with Conor McGregor. Easy call.
Okay, it always felt like 100% in any form, and when I say any form, I mean even 43 years old form, that they would cash in that lottery ticket, meaning the UFC.
Okay.
What right now, given everything, what is your confidence percentage chance that Diaz and McGregor have a third fight in the UFC's octagon before they die?
25%.
Wow, that's it? 25%?
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, you would have said 98.
50-50. Or better, at worst, 50-50. Now,
Long Island Luke, where are you at on that? Do you need that? Do you care about that fight?
I don't care about it at all, but I was going to say 30%.
Like, you don't care about at all?
No, but I mean, you agree that's a big fight.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I would have cared about it way more 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
if
here's the one.
If you didn't caught up with Poirier, Connor, that would have been a good time to cash in that Nate fight during that sequence.
All right, here's the one that I think is I give it a second to marinate, but I like this one. At 55, and again, I have no idea if Nate wants to do 55, but if he does, Max Holloway for the BMF title. What do we think about that? It's a title fight. You can do 55. Yeah. They're going to beat each other's fucking brains out. What is wrong with that fight?
Dude, this is like for all the, I don't care. I don't think UFC listens to our show and is like, oh my God, the press is saying bad things about me. I think they're probably just like, fuck the press like they always do.
Yeah.
But you want to give a gift back to the fans? Dude, you put that on top of pay-per-view for the BMF belt. It's just like, I feel like that'll recharge the, repump the primes, right? That'll re-get the...
Come on, now, Luke, you have to weigh in on this one.
I could get behind that. I think that's a good fight.
Okay.
I was going to say, which Max is up there with that, Justin Gaethje, Nate Diaz.
That's a good one, too.
That would be a scrap.
That's a good one, too. Plus, you could do that at 170. You can do that at 170.
That's the hardcore fight fans version of the fight we just said. Holloway versus him is like this. Everyone's tuning in. Everyone loves both guys so much.
Yeah.
But the darker, hardcore version of that is that fight.
The reason I like the Holloway fight is because, one, it's stylistically going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
2, I don't know if we've ever talked about these two guys fighting each other before.
It's rare to get star power that big right now at this point.
And then last but not least, certainly it is for a title. Granted, you can call whatever you want about the title, but Nate's like, oh, I want to fight for a title. If the BMF title, which I know he fought for before, obviously UFC 249 against Jorge Masvidal, didn't get it. Here's a second chance. 244, I apologize. He has a second chance to get it.
And doesn't he claim they created it because of him?
Yes.
So this is storytelling. This is WWE storytelling right here. That's really good.
I like that fight.
That's
I like that fight.
really good. But the Gaethje one is gnarly,
The
dude.
Gaethje one is devastating. That one is tough.
Do you want nothing to do with another Masvidal fight? Or is there any scenario where you'd be like,
dude, they fought in MMA. They fought in boxing. The boxing fight, as we talked about, was surprisingly good. We gave him credit for it. I still give him credit for it.
They're 1-1 in the series. Okay, if that's a pay-per-view main event, people are going to complain. But imagine if that was like the third best fight on a loaded pay-per-view card. Then you're like,
fine.
Then you're like, okay, yeah.
I'm just thinking, what do we do to meet Nate's terms to get him over? To me, Holloway 55 BMF.
Let's talk about motivation, though. Willingness, which can waver with Nate. Remember, he fought Conor twice and then took 3 years off at the peak of his marketing, right? Like at the point where he was almost a household name because of the McGregor rub. Do you think that he was reinvigorated by this Masvidal fight? Do you think that he's looking at, okay, I got X amount of paydays left? Like, what do you think? I know Nate is different than all of us, so how do you think he's looking at it?
He's going to be 40 very soon. I'm not sure exactly when it is, but it's imminent. And on top of it, remember, he got sideways with Fanmio. He was supposed to get 10 million or more, and even the 1 million he got, he tragically gave back. And so I don't even know what he got paid.
Because that story disappeared, I have to believe that everybody got paid what they were deserved.
I've not hit up his manager.
That story resurfaced this week when Ryan Garcia was getting sued by Fanmio, saying they're still in the lawsuit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Diaz,
So this is my point. That was supposed to be a big financial windfall that never materialized. Granted, he got the Jake Paul fight. I'm sure he got a pretty coin for that. The Diaz, the McGregor fights, I'm sure he got big money for that. Even the Ferguson fight to an extent. But I suspect this is a payday issue. And this is the point I want to make. Like, if there's no real big payday associated, like if Gaethje had a title, I think Nate would take it. But without a title, it's like, what is the value to him?
There's no world where he fights Islam Makhachev, right? There's no like justification for that. Now, a guy like him wouldn't need justification because it's
right because he's Nate Diaz. But that seems unlikely. I wouldn't bet on it. Right?
Would he take it? Because he just said I want to be the champion. So would he take it?
He'd take it for a title. He'd take it. Yeah.
Does he do better or worse than Dustin did? Worse, right?
I think Islam. We all love Nate Diaz, but I think Islam would win that handily. Yeah. Dude, again, Islam is the #1 pound-for-pound guy in the sport. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Okay. Now, Paddy's got a fight, but if Paddy didn't have a fight, would you have considered that at all?
God, Nate versus Paddy.
It's such a weird fight.
Okay, it's a weird fight. It's actually a good fight for a lot of reasons, not least of which is it's generational. However, I have a feeling that Paddy, because he might be at the peak of his powers, would win, and then we'd all be fucking devastated. And so for that reason, I have a hard time getting behind it, but I can't shit on the fight. It would solve a lot of problems. It would be a good fight.
There you go. That was topic number 4. Let's go to topic number 5.
You guys are wrong. Diaz versus Ilia Topuria would be good. You guys are fucking haters.
No, I just think you do the McGregor fight if you're going to do that.
You're a fucking hater. That's what you are.
You got to, at that point, you just do the McGregor fight. Dude, I don't mean McGregor Diaz. I mean McGregor Topuria. I think that's the fight that the UFC should cash in on. I'm not saying I want that. I'm saying they should cash in on that for their own good.
I understand.
Would you enjoy that at all? Would there be any part of you that would get jazzed up?
Yeah, I'd be pretty. I mean, that's a relevant fight, you know.
Sized, maybe?
Sized, as they say in where I'm from.
All right, topic number 5 takes us to the O2 Arena on Saturday. Hey, UFC's back. Not just a regular fight night. We're at London here with this card, and it ain't bad. There's a high stakes in this welterweight main event as former champion Leon Edwards been out for a while. We've needed to see his answer, his return from falling off of that welterweight throne. He'll be welcoming a streaking Shawn Brady, but is it a Shawn Brady who's shown us, answered all the questions we had? Well, this will be the fight in a lot of ways that should do that for us. Luke, this has massive stakes. It's a great fight. So when you talk about which aspect of this great fight has you most intrigued, most sized, most excited, most recoiled and ready for possible gross explosion? Who even talks like this on a television program in front of a microphone? Luke, what part of this fight is the sexiest?
To me, this is do or die for Leon Edwards. Now, of course, even if he loses a decision here, I don't mean his career is over. That's not what I mean. But this is do or die for him at the top of this division. And the reason why I say that is obviously just sort of where he is from a general position, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Namely, he was supposed to be fighting Jack Della Maddalena, and there was a switch to Shawn Brady. Now, that you go from a striker to a grappler, that can't be easy. But number 1, there was a lot of time in between to get right. Number 2, we're talking about a guy who had to go back-to-back fights with Kamaru Usman. He had to fight Colby Covington. He had to fight Bilal Muhammad, and now you have to fight Shawn Brady. These are each different guys, but you are talking about different versions of the same kind of fighter. Somebody who's going to press you up against the fence, who's going to be hunting for takedowns, looking for submissions from the back in the case of Shawn Brady. By the way, very, very, very good at that. But you have a chance to capitalize on all, if you're Leon Edwards, all of the investment in takedown defense, in getting off of your back off the fence, in down blocking, everything that he has worked on for years at this point, even before the Kamaru Usman rematch. But I mean, in particular, ramping it up since then, where he had these constant wrestlers in his face. This is advantageous for him. On top of it, you will recall in his last fight where he did lose to Bilal Muhammad, and you can choose to accept this or not. I'm just repeating to you what Leon Edwards told the public, namely, hey, it was 5 a.m. It messed me up. Well, this one will not be. This one is going to be prime freaking time in London.
Dinner time for us.
So let's back up a second here. We're talking about a situation where a former champion is getting I'm not going to say stylistically favorable, but stylistically well-known kind of opponent on a much better time. A guy who, by the way, I have great admiration for Shawn Brady. He was one of MK's first alums from the
Room Service Diaries.
Jesus, my brain just fried there. Room Service Diaries. He has worked on his striking, but it's not like he's the kind of striking threat that, I think Kamaru Usman is necessarily.
Has he not shown it in those 2 comeback fights, meaning Shawn Brady, or has he not been forced to show it?
It's tough to show it against Gilbert Burns, I think, more than people realize. So the other point is maybe Brady actually shows us here. We already know his wrestling is top-notch. We already know his grappling is sensational. We already know he's a fucking gorilla. Maybe he actually adds another wrinkle here, which actually adds to the intrigue.
I'm just pointing out. I got to see some bombs.
I'm just pointing out, if you're Leon Edwards and you lose this one, what would the excuse be this time? What could you possibly say?
You giving him the Tarver bit right now?
Well, a little bit.
Sounded like that tone.
Did he not make a bunch of excuses, including ones like, dude, Bilal Muhammad went in there and fought at 5 a.m. and he won just fine. Leon is an excellent fighter who has done incredibly well. They are giving him, again, you're fighting Shawn Brady. It's not an easy fight, far from it. But the set of circumstances, in particular, relative to the last one, should give him, I don't know, some confidence about his chances here. If he loses this one, what are you going to say now, Roy?
Wow, Long Island, I got to wonder if you echo that from Luke. Like, what I said off the start of the segment was that, like, Leon, where you been? We've been waiting for this answer. And I'm thinking he's got, like, a 1.5 year layoff. His layoff is 8 months.
Yeah.
He lost the belt last July. Do you feel like he's, like, overdue to answer a lot of questions here? Like, let's effing go? Where do you stand on that?
I don't think he should be, but I think given how long it took him to get a title shot, obviously the UFC does not really favor him, so I somewhat agree that, like, now you lose 2 in a row to top guys. It's going to take him a while to get back to that spot. But I do feel like the JDM fight was way more winnable for him here. I know the odds were a little further apart, but...
See, I thought this was more... I thought we had more questions about Shawn Brady in this fight. Like, can you... You're going to have to show us the full game. So will your striking be on the level? What have you grown? Where have you grown since the Bilal loss?
Why are you convinced he can't win with wrestling and grappling?
I'm not convinced that he can't. I'm just saying I thought that was where the focus would be question-wise and concern-wise. And you're saying...
Well, this is what makes it a great main event. It is. Everything you're saying is true. You asked me what I'm paying attention to.
I mean, they both are going to have to answer something.
Leon Edwards surprised me against Kamaru Usman, but then you watch some of those fights and you go back, you're like, okay, shouldn't have been surprised. Obviously, he rolled over Colby, who looked like shit. And again, folks forget, in that 5th round, he gave Bilal some trouble, and obviously it was another round, I think he took his back, or whatever, 2nd round or whatever it was, 2nd or 3rd round. So, it wasn't like he got completely demolished in that fight. It's just, dude, you're getting another wrestler. You're getting it at a much better time slot. He has historically not shown the most aggressive punching ever. Okay, Leon, you want to get back? This is a great opportunity.
You're right. And even though I'm the one saying, like, man, where have you been? Come back. It feels like it's so long. I guess I feel the weight of not having these questions answered. But he's 33, and heading into his last fight, he was top 5 pound for pound. So I'm saying I might have a little bit more confidence that we are going to get a very elite Leon Edwards in this one. So I want to see if Shawn Brady can raise that.
Yes.
Or if his plan A is going to be a problem for Leon. There is a lot of chatter, and we're going to break it down X's and O's wise in great detail on Friday, but let's just stick here from a distance. A lot of chatter of, is Leon the takedown defender that he's made up to be? And would he have a problem with Shawn Brady's aggressiveness?
I think if Shawn Brady can take down Gilbert Burns, he can definitely take down Leon Edwards. But, dude, you got who knows how Shawn is feeling? Who knows if he's
a competitor. Dude, Shawn's a competitor.
Michael Chiesa, we were talking about this privately one time, and he just couldn't believe how fucking strong he was. He was just like shocked by it. And, dude, we already know Sean Brady can wrestle his ass off. We already know he's got he's got some of the best jiu-jitsu, by the way, in the entire UFC. That's a real thing.
And you and him both agree that asses should be fully tatted on a male.
Tat up them things. But at the same time, I just find it real interesting how Leon kind of went out in his last fight. The way things turned here, it's just a real remarkable turn of events. I am pumped for this main
Here's
event.
the question, though, and this is very cynical, and if you're a Leon fan, you're going to be like, BC, you're a dick. Was he super elite or was he streaky? And I know like people are allowed one off-night performance. Was it one off-night, Luke, or was he streaky, meaning that people like me who missed on the way up how good he actually was, did we have reasons to have that doubt? And maybe he is a bit of a streaky fighter.
I didn't expect him to win the Kamaru Usman rematch, which, by the way, he was on the way to not doing that until he had one of the greatest moments in UFC history. He won the rubber match cleanly at that point.
And that's when we were like, oh shit, if we'd missed it, then that's the.
So that's when I felt like I was like, damn, I must have missed what he was doing. But then to watch what Bilal did, I was like, oh right.
Kind of audited him, right?
Well, here's the thing: Bilal Muhammad's takedown setups in series are very different than what Kamaru Usman did. I did a whole tape study on it. They had a real particular method that they were looking at when they went after him, and it worked tremendously. The point I'm trying to make is, it feels to me like Leon leveled up his wrestling for an older generation of welterweight. And I know that Bilal is technically a little bit older, but I'm saying the generational that he comes from. And the newer generation of grappler, the newer generation of welterweight, I don't know this because only Bilal has done it.
Yeah.
But if Shawn goes in there and does it, you're like, aha. Okay, so there was a line in the sand he could not cross. Or Leon goes in there and, busts him up, and he's right back to it. So, again, either way you want to look at this fucking fight rules.
We have early odds here, Long Island?
Yeah, right now Leon is plus 124, Sean Brady minus 140.
Yo, that's a lot of respect for Brady
It's a lot of respect for Brady. It's a lot of to me, it's a lot of respect for Brady. It's also a lot of doubt to me about Leon.
Yeah, you're right.
I think people are like, I don't know what we're going to get with it. This is my point. This is the whole reason why this shit is intriguing. Because Leon can go out there and shut all my stupid mouth and everyone else. And I'm not even predicting he'll lose necessarily. I'm just saying, really like dunk on, okay, people were doubting me. Look how great I am. Like, this is on the table as well.
That's why we watch
this is why we watch.
Damn, let's hear from Leon
This is
Edwards.
why we watch.
Don't we got that shit? Let's hear from Leon. Rocky, let's go.
Me as well. So I spoke to the UFC. They told me that after this win, this is the number one contender fight. Whoever wins this, fight for the title. Well, when I win this, I fight for the title. And that is my aim. My aim is to get back that 2-time world championship. And the result of the fight with me and Bilal, everyone knew that weren't me. That was fighting at home, 5 a.m. in the morning.
I mean, I don't love that excuse.
Going right. See what I mean?
He might be.
He went right back to it.
What if he's just really honest? What if he's just like, that was the reason I succumbed to the time change?
Okay, I believe that. Why didn't it affect Muhammad?
Right. Now, it doesn't like other.
It's
like
5
maybe
a.m. in England for Bilal is midnight.
Maybe he didn't prep. What I'm saying is like, that stuff could trip you up. Maybe he's just being honest. Like, it tripped me. It tripped me the F up.
The excuse making for Leon here is insane to me.
But like,
you're the UFC welterweight champion of the world. You have all the time in the world to adjust your schedule to perform at that time. Miss me with this bullshit, please. Miss me with it.
Put the camera.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, wow.
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, you said Bilal had to fight at that time, too. Bilal's still used to time in Chicago.
No, but he came over weeks ahead of time. He had to acclimate there as well. I mean, I guess it's probably easier to acclimate given that. That's fine. But again, if my job is to go run a race at 5 a.m., I'm going to take all the time I need to do that. And if I fail to perform that, tough titties, said the kiddies. The milk is all gone.
It's what I was secretly trying to ask in that last harsh question of Bilal. It's like, is he an elite fighter or did he have elite flashes in when he needed?
No, he's elite.
What I'm saying?
No, he's elite.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, we're not concerned that he's physically washed, but are we concerned that he doesn't have that same spark when he needs it most, momentum-wise?
You have to wonder if he doesn't hit that head kick on Kamaru, where is he today?
Right, that's what I'm saying. And like the mental side of it is huge, and sometimes momentum really matters in this regard. So right now, is it not that he's regressed? It's just that he could be on a downswing. I mean, those are some of the questions that he's got to answer.
He's always been a little streaky. Is not quite the right
mercurial.
word. Yeah, a little bit kind of like very good, but not exactly
the Nate
overwhelming.
fight almost fell apart there at the end. You know?
Yep. Not exactly overwhelming. But I do think he's elite. I do think he's very good. Again, let's be clear. Shawn Brady has his hands full here. You know, we're not crazy. I'm very unsympathetic to, I had to fight 5 a.m. Fine. They shouldn't make fighters do that. I totally think they shouldn't make fighters do that. But you're the UFC welterweight champion of the world. Dude, give the excuse to somebody else.
I mean, there's freaks in the living room
uninterested in it.
getting
Uninterested.
it on. But Leon ain't fighting until 5 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So what you going to do? We also have sound from Shawn Brady. Do you want to hear from
I don't
Philadelphia?
know if we have sound. I think we have. Oh, do we? Okay, let's see.
I hear we do.
We don't have sound from Shawn Brady.
I must have misread.
We have
then.
Bilal reacting to Leon's last video.
Oh, here we go. Thank you for this piece. This from Perry Punch here. Bilal Muhammad responds to Leon Edwards' claim that the UFC told him he will receive the next title shot if he beats Shawn Brady at UFC London, and says he will 100% turn it down if it gets offered. And the quote is, "I don't know what Leon's thinking, because Leon, you have a full 3 years before you can even think about getting a rematch with me." This is Muhammad talking on the Believe You Me podcast. "It's going to be a long 3 years," he said, "of fighting contenders for Leon." And then 100%, I would say no if UFC offered me Leon Edwards next. And this is obviously Bilal still talking. "I would make him wait. I have the next guy in line anyway. I think it's Shavkat, so there's nothing he could do to skip Shavkat. I wouldn't allow that to ever happen." So, Luke, bold statements by the champion right there. Does he actually have that control and power?
He can say no. Yes. Yes, he can.
And then what happens next? The UFC publicly shames you?
The thing is this. The question is how quickly Shavkat's going to be ready. And the other possibility is, what if Leon goes in there and just fucking runs over Shawn Brady? Like, head kicks him in the first round.
What's that catchphrase he has? Is it headshot dead?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying, what if he gets one of those?
You gave a cringe response to that.
No. I just forgot. I was trying. Dude, I've been awake since 2:30 this morning. My brain is barely working.
All right.
But what I'm trying to say is, the UFC is just giving themselves options. They probably did tell him that, and I'm not even saying they don't even mean it. If he goes out there and wins and can make a quick turnaround and looks pretty good, and Shavkat's not quite ready, we haven't heard anything about how Shavkat's going to be ready, all that stuff. But at the same time, you make all that work, he could jump the queue, absolutely. And by the way, now you've got a rematch on your hands. Now you've got Muhammad versus Leon too, after getting past in that particular scenario.
In this case.
Huh?
Leon and Bilal had a no contest.
Oh, that's right. I completely memory
Not
hold
that
that.
this really matters.
It was the eye poke, remember? Good thing we're doing a lot about eye pokes these days, huh?
I know, seriously. That'll wrap up our 5 topics right there. I hope you enjoyed them. Of course, we'll be back big on Friday. Don't forget, 10 a.m. Eastern start time on Friday. We'll really hammer out this card from top to bottom. I was going to
get the pornography I watch. Yeah,
like Diddy. I was going to get all bang.
I watch a lot of pogs get hit top to bottom.
We've got a fun segment now brought to us by the fans every Sunday night on social media. That's X and IG at Morning Combat gives you an opportunity to ask your question, let your voice be heard, and open yourself up.
Hey, I got a question
to some legitimate heckling. Yes.
Before we do this, so will you rate my shoes? I have a serious question. Will you rate my shoes?
Okay, do you have your toe spacers on? Or no?
I don't.
Okay.
So I want to say I have been for the last 4 years, I've been buying barefoot shoes.
Yes.
And the biggest complaint I have about barefoot shoes is not that they're not functional. They're actually quite functional. But that the design of them is ass all the time.
It's like full hoka.
It's just the worst. So I finally got these. These are from a company called Bear Barracks.
And are they like Air Jordans versions?
They're like the Dunk Lows from Nike.
Dunk Lows,
yeah. You got to rate them. What do we think here? Oh, it's hard to see.
Oh, that's a bold dad move right there.
Yeah,
they're certainly not awful. They're certainly not awful.
Where's the fucking camera? Here. What do we think?
I can see what you're trying to pull. So this looks like rookie year Michael Jordan on the Bulls.
Yes, but it's shittier.
And it's low.
It's definitely shittier.
I mean, it definitely screams dad, but you kind of pull it off in a way. I'm going to go 6.8.
Oh, you can't give me the 7?
But dude, I wear things that are well below 4 point. You know,
okay.
I mean, I wear
Long Island Luke. Can I get a 7 out of you?
You can, but it wouldn't be genuine.
Wow, what a time.
Let me just say this. For barefoot shoes, these are a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, those are
For barefoot shoes. You don't realize when you buy Nikes or whatever, you're not paying for function. They're actually bad for you. You're paying for the designers that they hire.
Thank you, Dr. Scholes.
That make
right.
it all look so pretty.
Yes.
And by the way, every time I go to the shoe store and I walk by, a tear comes out of my face
Luke
that I
is
can't wear
saying,
these shoes
wear
anymore.
practical shoes so you can look like him. All right.
Right.
It's called DMs from Donks, actually.
Sorry about that. Having a little fun.
All
right, there's an ejaculating donkey.
I mean, this is what we allow
Never
on this
ends.
program. Let's hear the first donk speak it. This is from @Steve Narmitage, 89. All right, Steve. Is Vettori forgetting his athletic support cup on his way to the cage and needing it to be handed over by a coach? Is that the donkest thing in MMA? And if not, what is or
No,
what
Kevin
has
Randleman
been?
hitting his head on a pipe when he walked out to his fight and the fight had to be canceled is donker.
Oh, that's bad, dude. That's
and rest in
bad.
peace to the legend. We love Kevin Randleman around here, but he definitely did that. Also, Vettori wearing his fucking Venom shorts backwards is...
That's up there. That's up there.
I'm thinking of the guy on Tough who trained with Stipe. I think his name was like John Gunther, and he claimed he had his esophagus tube coated with PVC pipe so that he was unchokeable. And then I'm pretty sure he got choked out in like his first fight. That's
Didn't
pretty
Bryce
dumb.
Mitchell shoot himself in the foot? Like
No,
lit-
he got
in the dick?
drilled
drilled
to
his
the,
ball
drilled
sack.
himself in the ball sack.
He's
yeah.
had a few incidents.
I mean, could Vettori end up on could he get a couple votes for third team all donk and you wouldn't be surprised or what?
Yeah, that'd be one.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right. That's a hard profession. So no one's a donk at the end of the day. But people do donktastic things. I'm trying to think of what's the most go-to
Brian Ortega jumping up and down and then turning his ankle
that's
when
a
Bruce
great
Buffer's
one.
reading
That's
his
a
name.
Great one.
What about
there.
Clay Guida just getting fucking slapped so hard right before he goes into a fist fight? That's pretty donkish.
Yeah, but does it hurt his performance? I don't think that it does.
Yeah,
There's no way for us to know. He's only ever been slapped.
I think him getting mildly concussed
by
fires
his
him up,
brother,
yeah.
no less.
Yeah.
By his brother.
Let's go to the next question here from these donks. This one's from Flannels and Jits. Luke, he writes in every damn episode. You got to support a guy like this, all right? Support him, Luke.
You support him, motherfucker.
All right. Is the lack of depth, Flannels and Jits asks, in the UFC's light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions partly due to top-tier athletes like Brock Lesnar, Cain Velasquez, and Cole Conrad choosing to remain in wrestling or transition to no-gi grappling, where they can earn solid money with the risk of CTE ? That was a run-on sentence.
Yeah, I
if
don't
ever saw
know
one.
to what extent it's affecting those divisions in particular. Obviously, Gable Steveson, it seems inevitable he goes to MMA because he washed out of everything else. But
That's a bad ending spot.
well, you go back to I was watching one of his duel meets recently, actually on TV or where did I can't remember where I saw it, but dude, he was just abusing these fucking people.
Oh yeah.
Like it was insane. So he's going to end up in MMA, which will be obviously a boost for the UFC's.
You really believe he's going to fight?
Yeah. I don't know what else. Unless he gets some kind of job at like a D1 school as like a coach where they just give him huge money or something. Yeah, he's gonna probably fight.
Did he just not have the heart for pro wrestling? I'm asking because I wasn't following that when it was happening.
I
His whole
don't watch-
fallout with
yeah.
WWE, but I don't know.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, well, clearly, yeah. There's no doubt.
Also, I think the fact that he have allegations of sexual assault.
I cannot confirm.
And I think
or
the
deny
fans
that.
turned on him for that. Again, allegations. I don't know what happened legally, but
Well, if he stays in MMA, they won't turn on him. Okay, so hey, let's go to the next question.
dude, they might invite him to the White House.
Oh boy, Justin at Justin.B_. Wow, that's very in code. It was great to see Keith Thurman back
Yeah,
in boxing, but it made me think: what if he never got injured? In 2016, Keith Thurman was the best welterweight on the planet. That is a true fact. He should have been in the mix with Spence and Crawford. Which other fighters, boxing or MMA, do you think that what if for? Oh, Cain Velasquez is a major what if in my brain, Luke, always, okay? Even more than you would guess that for the greatest featherweight of all time. You know that guy from Dagestan?
Zabit?
Yeah, that's a what if for me in a big way, for sure. But I think Cain is even bigger, don't you think? We never got Cain Stipe. That would have been
That's true.
great at the peak of their
We
powers.
never got Kane, John Jones. We never
Right.
yeah.
That dude, he could have been the all-time great. Not just heavyweight, all-time greatest, right? Or am I crazy? What if Cain had not fallen apart or not lost in the ways that he did? And what if he ran that table?
If you were never there for when Cain Velasquez beat Brock Lesnar, that was one of those moments where I was like, a star was born. How many times can you really say that? Like when Topuria beat Volk, maybe, but when he definitely beat
He took
Max.
Lesnar apart.
Yeah. So like, dude, he demolished Lesnar. He just fucking abused him. Like and then that was
Stardom, actually.
That was the first time I'd ever seen and I'm being serious, because they hadn't gone to they'd gone to Brazil, but in the United States, that was the first time I had seen a predominantly Hispanic audience at a UFC fight.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit,
Dude,
they're about to cash in on this fucking transformative figure. And it just didn't work that way.
You just said John Jones. Imagine if Kane was still around, Luke, still active when John came of no. I mean, imagine if we saw Kane and Ngannou under different circumstances, right? Those would have been great. Is there anybody else that jumps out to you? Because Keith Thurman is a decent enough what if. Like, he did pop back into things for the Thurman fight or for that pay-per-view against Barrios, but after his back-to-back huge fights of Shawn Porter and then Danny Garcia, they're right. We never got that Spence fight. We never got anyone in that stretch because he was always in and out of the lineup for so long.
How much of that was injury?
Pretty much all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
It was a bicep shoulder thing, right?
Yeah, but it was like a few things. And then he got married in between that, and some people thought he lost the fire. But when he came back against Pacquiao, dude, I mean, I know he lost, but that was a great performance out of Keith. But he had some shaky moments. Remember leading into the Pacquiao fight, Josecito almost knocked him out against the ropes?
I forgot about that.
He's had a couple of those shaky
Pacquiao
moments.
dropped him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Going backwards, I think.
Dropped him in the first round on like an awkward kind of cross jab, but also hurt him to the body late. But great for Keith with that win, and I'd love to see Tim Tszyu, Spence, a few of them.
I'll tell you what, after that win against Mr. Brock Jarvis, definitely some renewed interest.
There you go, at 36, no less. Let's hit the next one here. This is from Telvin Kipapa, one of Hawaii's finest. Damn it. Wow. Telvin asked Telvin, can you help out BJ Penn out there? This is not a bit. Seriously, like all hands on deck right now.
Yeah, seriously.
Better rock band, he asks. Metallica or Rage Against the Machine? These are two all-timers here.
Are they rock bands?
I mean, Metallica is heavy metal.
Wait,
right?
Well, okay, they were heavy metal.
Right.
They're maybe closer to rock now.
Is this a friends don't let friends get haircuts moment or what?
Yeah, and then Rage, I don't know how you would properly classify them. I guess they're a rock
they're
band.
almost rock, rap, alternative. Like, there's a lot going on there. But ultimately, they're both rock. Who, in your opinion, is the better band historically?
I think that even with the problems with their catalog, nevertheless, Metallica's catalog is much deeper.
I think you got to take Metallica here. I think you have to. Long Island, look, you have a clue in these departments. So
I was going to say, I got to disagree completely. It's Rage.
Bring it.
It's Rage 100%.
How is it Rage?
I've never been
They've had three fucking albums.
With the exception of Enter Sandman, every time Mariano Rivera came out to save a game, I mean, I don't listen to Metallica whatsoever. But
that settles it, BC. There you go.
Thank you for your opinion.
Bong Out Luke doesn't listen, so let's fucking close up shop. And don't get me wrong, I saw Rage recently.
Did it hold up? Please tell me it did. Come on, do they still bring it?
They fucking brought the house down.
Morello too goes.
Rage Against. I saw them at the Capital One Arena. First of all, it was a little.
Was Zach De La Rocha injured for this?
He was sitting down the whole time. Yeah. But dude, you could if you just closed your eyes, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. Their sound was so fucking good. I remember talking to my wife. I'm like, it sounds like they're trying to cut a live album to release at a later date.
Their bass is awesome. You know
Tim B, whatever they call him. Dude, I don't know if they're ever going to go back on tour again. If they do, fucking go see them.
Let's go. There are problems with Metallica's turns at times, but dude, that's a monster catalog, longevity, quality. The music did change over time. I mean, as much as people can, bring up negative reactions to when they went commercial, that was pretty freaking awesome, though.
So you have the 3 albums from Rage, and then they have the covers album.
They got a couple more, and they're great. They're all great, in my opinion. Rage, they haven't given me anything.
But for me,
yet.
the fact that you could go, let's see, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. You could stop there and then just add some of the like Bread Fan from the Garage Inc. To me, that's enough to put them over.
Black
Even
Album,
with
Load, Reload, even with the
give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire, get the fuck off stage, Dad Rock.
The tin pan drums of Saint Anger. I always talk about that stretch being the worst stretch in rock history when like Nickelback was on top and Creed and all that. Dude, don't forget Metallica tried to be a major leading player in that regard. Do we have any more DMs from these donks? Yeah. How about hey, happy St. Patrick's Day to. What did he say? It's pronounced. Was it like Sheeran or something?
I think it's applesauce.
Applesauce _ Delaney.
Yeah. What
did he say? Come on, Long Island. Look, you need to be the.
If you read the rest of the question, he says it's actually Shitstick McGee.
Okay. He says, maybe I should read Delaney's words. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, do you have any memorable moments interacting with the Irish people?
I've told this story a million times. My brother lived in London, and he was right when he said that, like, you know, if you ever go to London, the Irish are just friendlier than the English. I don't give a fuck if the English are watching. We love them, but sorry, the Irish are friendlier. And I go to visit my brother. He worked behind in Leicester Square, and one of his coworkers was Irish. And we went to lunch, and this motherfucker ordered 5 pints at lunch, and not like that, not the American bullshit pint, like the real pint. And then went back to work, and I asked my brother, I was like, "Yo, your fucking coworker's an alcoholic." He's like, "Dude, this is just what they do here." And I was like, I couldn't fucking believe how many.
They could hang
he
out
had.
with the Sabatkas from season 2 of The Wire down on the dock, you know,
Bring
at that little bar.
The Wire season 2, bitches, back to the docks.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Although that kid was a piece of shit. He deserved to go down the way he did.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. All right, there you go. What else was that guy asking in that question? And Ted, that was Shitstick McGee is the correct pronunciation. But shout out to that fella, Chiaran Gaelic Delaney. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think that's his name is pronounced. BC had a seizure. There you go. Okay, that's it, right? That's all we got for that absolute bullshit. If you want to reach the show, by the way, and we do appreciate the fans contributing, contact the show at morningcombat@gmail.com. We're talking about Friday's Dead Wrongs, fan submissions, showing Mikey your under.
Yeah, Mikey specifically said, "I want to see your butthole," and I was like, "Mikey, that's aggressive." I don't know.
We're kidding, but wow, yeah, that's disgusting. And also, you know, some people said, "Look, our debate went way too long on Friday."
It did,
but we might be onto something. I know other people hate it. They don't want to see anyone talking about MMA but you and I. And maybe even Nocita. Maybe.
I think if we can really tighten it up, which we can try that again.
Okay.
But we have to tighten it up for sure.
I like interacting with the people in safe distance.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But they're right. It's got to be snappy, you know.
We have one more segment for you, and you can argue it's probably the best in the entire industry, right? I mean, name a segment people are talking about more than this one. It's when BC scours the globe for the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, in combat sports and the world beyond that. This one's called, Have You Seen This Shit? Luke, not all bad when the UFC goes to the apex. How about this wholesome moment between GSP and Merab Dvalishvili?
I want to tell you again, it was your record. Now I'm my record.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
you do it better than anyone.
No.
You're the king at this, man.
We are the two of the guys who was the most takedown.
Most takedown, yeah. The record are made to be broken.
I'm a big fan of yours, and I love your fighting style.
Thank you. Georgian people are very tough. A lot of Georgian guys helped me with my wrestling back home, so I'm very happy that you represented.
Luke, that made me feel really good. If that ended in a reach around, I wouldn't have protested. You know what I mean? Like that was Bushido.
People love the Canadian goat.
I mean, what a nice guy, right? That's like being at a cocktail party around crazy people. Right? Look, that was great. All right.
You see he ended up with Shaq that night, him and Dolidze?
Yes, I wish I had gotten that in here in time. Damn. Happy St. Paddy's Day to all of our Irish people out there, okay? And we met a lot of them in our time with MK. Luke, to celebrate it, let's go to a college party. Watch this. You know what St. Paddy's Day is all about in the college. Oh, my God.
Hell yeah, bro.
You got to see that again. I don't know if you saw that.
Bro, if you ain't dying at a college party, how good is it? Not very.
Look at this. This looks like, what I don't know what
Just
university.
look at the fucking disaster.
Oh boy,
yeah.
that is.
Dude.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many fraternity houses I've been in my life where I found maggots in the sink.
Oh, see, that's why
the porch was rotted, burned up couches in the backyard.
So, you know, it's for people that can't stand alone on their own.
Look at me.
You know?
Look at me. Some of the best days of my life.
Luke, I love Irish kids when they show up on live TV because, like regional MMA, anything can happen. Now let's go over to Schlager. He's with the kids.
Okay, what the fuck is up with this clip? Oh, are they about to get sexual? Yeah, there they go. There it is.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, that went too far. That is wild. All right.
That is awesome.
Luke, everybody has a favorite Irishman. Would you say that's true?
I don't know if that's true.
Well, the Irish.
I don't know if the Brits do.
The Irish media caught up with Trump to ask him who his favorite is.
Who's your favorite Irish person?
Oh, there's so many. Are you kidding me? Well, I do happen to like your fighter. He's got the best tattoos I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm a big but that.
Conor McGregor.
Conor. Boy, you have well, Conor's great, right? You know, talking about Conor, but you have a lot of great Irish fighters, actually. Great fighters. I don't know what that is, but.
I mean, except for like the recent rape trial, you know, it's great. Right?
Yeah, I mean, except for. I can't even get into it anymore.
But then again, he went to the White House today. That was kind of shocking to see that.
Is it? I mean, given where we are,
is it? Wild. That was wild. So let's continue the Conor fun. He was just celebrating St. Patty's Day in his own bar. What's it called? The Forged Iron Inn? I don't know. What is it?
Some shit.
Well, guess who showed up, Luke? Internet royalty. The Nelk Boys, baby.
Oh, Jesus.
I think this is now 366 consecutive days. Right?
Once again, the Cal Ripken-like streak of McGregor not being sober has continued. You know what? That was probably the only one he had that night, and then he went home early.
Well, no, he had to wait for Andrew Tate to come over. I mean, this is great. Wow, this is unbelievable. Hey, new segment alert. It's called Selfies Done Wrong. Let's watch. Oh, yeah. We're at the bar. We're getting drunk. Oh, God.
Ooh, what the fuck?
My God.
Oh, just donks fighting and she got bumped?
Celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
A lot of dudes with the burst fade, yeah.
Also, this one. Also. Okay, we're going to have to clean that up behind her. That is just,
I probably dated that girl in the back.
Probably after it happened.
Yeah, probably.
You probably had no shame at these frat parties to help him, like, wipe the spit
I wasn't
off.
a predator, okay?
I mean,
I was just also drunk. I mean,
you can get selfies at Mariah Carey concerts, too. You can also get fist fights. Watch this.
Who's scrapping out there?
Karen.
Oh, these two. Woo!
Oh, shit.
Dude, when Karen's attacked.
Yet they still completed the pose for the selfie.
They did.
That was great. Right.
Hey, listen,
there.
you pay good money for those motherfucking seats, you know.
Luke, you know that term carrying water?
Yeah.
It was never more true for this kid.
Dude, they're literally a bump ahead. Why do we need this much water for 3? Shit! Fuck! No, don't go fast! Fuck! Don't go fast!
Yeah.
Jack, stop!
Don't stop. Yes.
That was great. All right.
Yes.
Hey, it's time, speaking of fluids, it's time for your body shot of the week. Let's go to regional boxing where anything can happen, Luke, including a left hook to the liver and
Okay, I've watched 10 clips and they're all fist fighting and vomiting. What the fuck are you doing?
Hey, John Jones had a big week, Luke. First of all,
fist fighting and vomiting?
Tom Aspinall sent him to
I
hell
don't think
on
this is
Instagram.
real.
You don't?
I think this is photoshopped.
From who? You think the John Jones response to... So this is a live Instagram video from Pereira, Alex Pereira, talking about the loss.
I think this is photoshopped. I don't believe this is real.
You don't think Johnny Bones put disappointed... Oh, so you think I fell for the trap here?
I think you have put up fake news here.
Okay. Well,
I don't know that, but I believe that.
Long Island Luke, do you know that?
Today's the first time I'm seeing it, so I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I'll apologize to John Jones.
You are fake news.
To his face, and then ask him about his 20s. Yes, Luke. Speaking of Boney.
You just won't get over it.
Watch Boney's new haircut. Tell me if you like it, Luke.
The Kimbo Slice Brian Ebersol bit?
Yeah. What do you think about that? Look good? You think he'd fight with that? Or you think that's the direction he's running away from Aspinall?
This way to duck.
Yes, there you go.
Hey, he might still fight him. We don't know that. We don't know that. He might still fight him.
You know the good thing about WWE these days, Luke, you go as a fan, you can get a handful.
Oh.
Or a more than
So
that.
this dude.
Yeah.
Whoa!
That right there is assault, brother.
I mean, don't do that.
Out at second. Yes. Yes.
Don't do that.
Don't do
that.
Do that.
Don't
kids.
do that.
That is unbelievable.
Boy, that is one entitled little shithead, huh?
Yeah, well, they got more of them. Let's go to UConn.
What's the best part about being a UConn fan? I might get in trouble for saying this,
All the fucking whores.
Well, heavy on misogyny today in this show. This is unbelievable.
Can you believe that one day that guy's going to have a job interview and they're like, Mr. Steve, it says here that you did a man on the street interview in Connecticut. Well, let's review the tape. Whores. You can leave.
Not quite Hawk Tua. Oh, yeah. That guy should get a meme coin.
Dude, here's my plan. We need an MK shitcoin.
Yes.
We need to rug pull our entire audience and then just cancel the show and move to Bermuda.
People are always asking me, why is it always weird on these documentaries, you traveling with Luke? It's probably a normal experience. And then I show them this clip. I mean, this is the kind of communication I get back from Luke on our trips.
This motherfucking koala is my spirit animal.
There it is. Let's watch Fat Pete. I'm sorry, this overweight gentleman.
High calorie.
Yes.
Oh, they're about to sink this motherfucking boat. Dude, you got some big old motherfuckers on this boat.
Yeah, but they probably have a weight limit, right?
Yep. Oh, dude, what?
Oh, my God.
Golly, dog. He just sank the whole thing.
Okay, wow. Hey, want to see the greatest play in pickleball history? Let's go slow motion. And no, they already asked, is Jay Aaron in this? He's not. Oh, nice save.
Oh, shit balls. He's going to dunk the fuck out of that. Oh! In MMA, the referee would warn him.
That's right.
Oh!
Yes.
Stay for the ending.
What a finish. Wow.
Nice.
All right. Hey, time for some sports.
That's legal in MMA.
Some sports sneak attacks. Let's watch this South American soccer event.
Un gol por cero encima, ¿no? Del marcador o dándote la ventaja.
This is I think Venezuela.
That's unbelievable.
Dios
wow.
mío, estás impresionante.
Luke,
impresionante.
Keep your eyes on the referee at the end of this basketball game.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Now you're fighting for your life.
This will be on Faces of Death 7. Oh, my God. Wow.
You know what he hit him with? He hit him with the, you remember DC to Gustafson, hit him with the old 360?
And then the Suplex City at the
Holy
end.
shit.
Wow.
Wait, let me just see the beginning of that. Like, who started it?
I don't know. It looks like they're talking.
It looks like the ref. The ref starts it.
And then the whole family, rightfully so, jumped in at that point. I don't know the origin. I don't know who's at fault, but that's a gnarly video.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
Hard to say exactly what happened before the kick. Holy fuck.
Wow. You know what you should never trust?
A wet fart?
Old people on a golf cart.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because I'm a first-time buyer. I never have own golf cart garage. And that's why I'm a little bit... No, I'm telling you, like I said, we bought a brand new. We even have a spot right here to put a radio. It's a glove compartments you can put in here.
Oh, he's trying to sell him this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just going to slam the gas like a fucking moron.
It's fast, so be careful when you...
Yeah, he tells him, be careful, you old piece of shit. Yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah, you need... somebody needs to euthanize that bitch, okay?
Okay, that's too far, Kevorkian. That's too far, all right? Wow, okay. Luke, your favorite person on the internet is back, the weird cake lady.
This fucking demonic creature. Send her to Guantanamo Bay.
Why, she's very creative. I mean, you wouldn't take a bite of that?
I would throw her out of a moving plane. Go eat some toe fungus, you sick creature.
Everything's edible, Luke. Everything. Okay.
Disgusting, nightmare-fueled idiot.
Even the tile on the wall.
She's just gonna start cutting open her child and eating it too, you fucking cannibal.
All right. Hey, let's go to the T-shirt of the week.
Almost every hand you've ever shaken has had a dick in it. This guy looks like he's not having the best day ever.
No. Luke, trivia time. Do you know what was the first music video ever aired on MTV?
Video Killed the Radio Star?
By the Buggles. Yes. Great answer. Let's go to the meme.
Dude, it's 2025 and we're doing O.J. Simpson memes. Holy shit.
Luke, how important would you say it is to start your day with a balanced breakfast?
Not very.
cereal is probably the worst way you can possibly start your morning.
That would be a
Yeah,
lot
I was gonna be
worse.
like, bagels is a better option than terrorism.
Yes,
you know?
yes. The only thing we can do is close with some flatulence. You in?
I'm in.
All right, let's hit it.
Can I get a witness?
Dude,
Thank you
the
for
eye
witnessing.
contact is bonkers. Bonkers. Dude, don't get me wrong. I find that hilarious, but there's something wrong with that guy.
Oh, that guy's gross as
There's something
heck.
wrong with that
I
guy.
think we got a couple more of these.
I just have one question. To the man that asked me to fart in a balloon and mail it to him. Dude, what's your fucking address? Ow!
And finally.
That's a good bit.
Listen to this. Too good to miss. Oh, going all the way.
That guy's such a predator. Oh my God.
Yeah, you can burn him alive.
Oh, so yeah, that's the shit of the week. I hope you saw it.
A minus.
Oh
A minus.
wow.
A
I mean, it was
minus.
controversial. I don't know if it was.
I mean, the
right,
OJ memes are.
I mean, but the OJ into the 9/11 was probably ill-advised at best. But that's what we got for you. You can reach the show again, morningcombat@gmail.com, and we would like you to. Let's see some good fan subs for this Friday. Also, we're in a mid-merch creation mode.
We are Long Island. Luke can tell you we're actively working on merch. That's a real thing we're doing, right?
Yeah,
we're working on it.
There you
Coming
go.
soon.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Coming soon. Yes, maybe like the third Dune movie. Maybe.
I do like the second Dune movie a lot.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I
agree.
watch it on every flight now.
Do you?
Just to get another taste of it. You know.
Where are you on like Lord of the Rings and stuff?
I
like
don't
that?
touch those. Should I?
I'll say this for like if you like a flight to Europe or something, you can kill 2 of those and it takes up almost the entire flight.
I know, like, I'm not going to be naive. I know I'll enjoy it. I just have no want to do that or Harry Potter under any circumstance. I'm just like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Peter Jackson wants you to watch that movie on an 8-inch screen, but
Sure,
you know.
sure. It would be a theater. Like, I cannot believe you did not go to Dune 2 in the theater when you had the chance. You just decided that in your house it would be an equivalent experience.
I did buy a new TV.
I don't think, I did
It's
like.
pretty nice.
I did the IMAX. I did
You
the.
did IMAX?
It was like one night where you can do it all. You could like pay. It was IMAX and it was not 3D, but like the boot. They have the bigger speakers that shake.
Like the Dolby.
Yeah,
whatever.
Dolby surround bullshit. But it was amazing. It was absolutely great. I wanted to put 3D on top of that, but one of my sons was like, "Dad, like, why can't we just watch a movie like normal people? Why does it always have to be like a roller coaster ride?"
Dude, you know what I realized? I didn't know this, but I saw it. Maybe I've seen it before, but I got reminded of it recently. I didn't know that on Uber Eats, you can order from the movie theater like their popcorn
and then they get
and their
brilliant,
sodas and
yeah.
shit, and then have it sent to you. And I'm like, that's both genius and incredibly
Yes.
disturbing.
I mean, I don't know if you've used Uber Eats much of late, but like the way that they're enticing you to add on to your order and it not costing any extra
bundled
money. Where it's like
whatever.
you want to bundle the 7-Eleven and get a case of water and all these snacks and a
Yeah.
Slurpee and shit, and you can just hit so it's
Like, no.
dangerous.
Yeah, I don't want that at all.
All right. Well, hey, Long Island, Luke, thank you for playing today. All right. You got any dates coming up? You got the
I got my birthday
Carolines?
this week, guys. Thursday. So
Oh,
good
hey.
week.
You gonna do anything special for it?
Nah, I'd probably just get drunk and have a good time.
What age are you turning, if you don't mind the people knowing?
It's my Patrick Ewing year, 33.
Oh wow.
The sweatiest man alive. You know he was. Dude, I'll never forget watching him just dunk on motherfuckers either at Georgetown or with the Knicks. And there had to be that dude with the broom right behind him.
You know who was underrated in that is Kevin McHale. I was a big Celtics fan. Every timeout or foul,
They had to wipe the floor?
He's grabbing a towel
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like bathing in it.
Yeah,
Like,
those big ass dudes, they sweat a lot.
They do tend to do that. All right. Well, that's the damn show for this week. Thank you so much. For Luke Thomas, I'm Brian Campbell. Take care of yourself. Friday is a 10 a.m. Eastern start. Thank you for helping me accommodate my schedule. We're still going to bang, though, on Friday, okay? Alabama power, Chinese power, just like Big Bang Zhang said. That's LT, BC. Thank you. We're out of here.